All right, for anybody watching the potential replay, it's probably going to be a slow start, as I know there are so many other creators online right now with good reason. So I don't know how this is going to go. Obviously, I had no idea. Hey, Emily. I had no idea 4 hours ago when I put out the poll for me to either make a pre-recorded or go live with you guys about my dissection of the live from last night, what was going to happen tonight would happen. I had no idea, as I'm sure none of you guys did, that Katie was going to record a statement. I had no idea that Shannon from Creepshow Art was going to try and have a discussion with Uni on Augie's channel, which is still going on. I know Little Red was live for a while in regards to everything going on. It's just been a wild freaking night. I don't know. It's really late here. It's like 9:30. This is the latest I think I've probably ever gone live, which I'm fine with staying on live and talking about everything with you guys. But it is just, I think I'm kind of with everybody else that it's hard to take your eyes off of. It's like a really bad accident that you drive by and you hope everybody's okay, but you can't help but to look and try and see what happened. I feel like everything going on for the last week has been like that. And each night, I feel like it is progressively getting worse. If the reflection of the ring light in my glasses bothers you guys, just let me know. I don't have to have my glasses on. It just helps when it's this late at night. Yeah, Emily, I saw that her and Josh from the Dad Challenge did an update. I didn't even go into that live. My intention is to watch that within the next couple of days. With Wednesday being Veterans Day, I am off Wednesday, so I'm hoping I will have an opportunity to catch up today. In my off time when I was doing paperwork at work, I was listening to the live stream that Uni and Katie did last night and the shenanigans from that. And I typed out what ended up being, when I made that post, I still had quite a bit of time to finish the live stream. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't even finished the Unirock live stream. I stopped at the part where Charlie Gold, who is also another creator, I don't know if she ever got on the stream, but when she was being talked about getting in the stream is as far as I have made it into that live. So my 9 pages of notes is for everything previous to that, after the suicide stuff that he talked about with a friend. So, hey, Sammy Joe. Hey, Pippi Longstocking. I don't blame anybody for wanting to watch the other stream as that goes down. I kind of know of Augie, but not really. I've never watched his content. That's nothing against him. I'm kind of tapped out on all the creators I can watch. So I don't know if he is the kind of creator who will leave his live streams up or if he doesn't leave them up. So depending on how he handles his content, if you guys are worried about not seeing what he does or what continues to transpire in his live, I totally get you guys watching his stream over mine. Okay. Wait until Friday. What am I waiting until Friday for, Emily? Okay, Friday will be they're live streaming with his lawyers. That's interesting. Hey, Adrian. Yeah, Hey, gaming granny. We do need more hours in the day. I am so drained. Like, you all know, I work a normal job outside of this, and like when I'm not within the community or seeing people face to face and I'm just doing paperwork, I typically have my headphones in while I do my paperwork, and that's when I do a lot of my catching up on YouTube and seeing what's going on with everything. That's how I was able to listen to a good portion of the stream last night and took notes when I needed to, and apparently I took a lot of notes. These notes that I took are in congruency with how they talked about things. I have not gone back and like organized this because they very much, I have noticed with Unirock, I don't know what he prefers to be referred to as, but I've noticed with Unirock that he, especially from tonight's live stream and seeing how he has conducted himself in his streams, he very much talks in circles. And it is my opinion, and this isn't going to be a nice one, that he tries to manipulate people into his thought process, but he's not good enough at it. I don't mean that to be mean, but in the live with Creep Show, she even put it on Twitter on how he is trying to, I don't know if everybody understands that that's what he is trying to do. The fact that he is saying, no, this is this, and then he is countered, and then he slightly changes, and then he fully changes, and then circles back to his original thought. That is somebody trying to manipulate others. Unfortunately for Uni, he's not very good at it, which is why he kind of looks foolish in his debates tonight, ongoing from it seems, because he can't make a valid argument because he has no information. I wish I had taken notes from what was being said between him and Shannon, because he made himself look pretty poorly, in my opinion. For somebody who's not really had any interaction with Uni, and the ones that I have had have not been positive, because he has kind of gone after female creators, which I don't think there were any grounds for. I wish like Creep Show Art or Augie or one of the other larger creators, if they were going to let stuff spiral, that they would have called him out on his poor behavior. But I understand why they didn't. I understand that they may not even be aware that that's been going on. But you know, we can all hope for something. As smaller creators, we see a different side of YouTube, just like as larger creators see a different side of YouTube. Let's see. Yeah, last night was nuts, and that's what we're going to talk about. Charlie Gold said incredibly wonderful constructive criticism to KJ last night. Unfortunately, KJ let it go one ear at the other. Yeah, I assume that Charlie did get on. And, you know, I know of Charlie Gold. I used to watch Amberlynn Reed reaction channels. I never really watched her channel. I kind of just always watched Zachary Michaels. And I don't know much about her other than she's a reactionary channel. I've seen some of like the somewhat dramas that she could have been involved in, but I've never looked into them because I wasn't a creator at the time. And there's so much going on with the few creators I have had commentary on that I've kind of ended up just in this cycle with them. Hey, Ash, you can't stand Uni, but you will give him sympathy at the moment. He lost a friend. Yeah, I understand how hard that is. However, at the same breath, like if he knew or if he had the intention to talk about anything Katie related, he should, in my opinion, it defeats the purpose to try and bring awareness to it, to then allow the stream be overran with some drama stuff. And this is just my opinion and criticism to him, and not the fact that he lost somebody. I understand that's super hard. I did a live stream, was that last one? No, 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, we talked about suicide on my channel. So it wasn't so much that, but I think if he had intentions to cover any YouTube drama, it should have been in a different video. when I do my open discussions with you guys, we do almost everything we can to not allow it to bleed in unless it's a good example of whatever we're talking about. Him and KJ are one of the same in your opinion. You heard it all too. They're both losing credibility. You love Creepshow video. Hey, Elizabeth, unfortunately, I actually have not been able to see Creepshow's video on Katie. I'm sure it's fantastic. All of her videos are. From what she was discussing with Uni tonight, I don't think I would have any criticism on her video. Caroline, I did see her apology video. I didn't know it had been put up until way late. I got off of work extremely late this evening, so I had some text messages and some DMs, primarily DMs, saying there was a video that I needed to see, and I was late to it. Hey, Anna. Yeah, I also came from the Augie live. Her apology was gaslighting. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't an apology. And Unirock is just further supporting the fact that it wasn't an apology. He is sitting there saying, oh, Katie's doing right, this, that, and the other. And then he is saying, oh, but I didn't know that that was an issue. She definitely deserves criticism then. I would definitely be the one to give her criticism. So is he telling us that he is blindly listening to what he's told, but yet he wanted to criticize Britt in Eyeshadow Island for not doing their research when they were providing legitimate criticism to Katie? And they weren't allowing those two creators to even be heard in that live stream. What was that, like a month ago? And then he did it recently, like last week. He is ruining his own credibility in all of this, in my opinion. And I'm really coming unbiased from talking about Unirock because I don't know much about him. There are so many lives up tonight, and I totally understand if you guys want to be in other people's lives. I'm not going to be upset about that. I never am. This will probably stay up. I'm going to try and be as quickly about going through this as I can. I was going to maybe just do this as a pre-recorded video, but with you guys voting almost 50-50, I mean, there were more for wanting a live rather than a pre-recorded video. I almost did a pre-recorded video until I saw the shit show that has been going on all freaking day, apparently. Yeah, Ash, I have seen the videos where he's given her legit criticism before. Hey, Delaney. Hey, Linz. Hey, Candace. She blamed trolls for criticizing her. You couldn't believe it. People have watched her on their own eyes and have figured it out. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of her apology video. You guys know I really do try to remain unbiased when I even talking about her at times. I can say that in the apology, although I don't agree with the beginning, I don't agree with the overall message of her statement, because I don't. If you really take a step back, you know, she is trying to blame it all on the trolls, which is asinine. But I did appreciate the small fact that she was willing to directly apologize to a lot of creators. I found it very interesting that she was doing that. The fact that I understand her reading from a prompt. I think it's because she has to, because of what is going on legally. I think she is trying to be careful, and I don't blame her for that. I'm not trying to hold that against her, but I just wish she would be honest about it. Uni hasn't changed at all in his bias. Yeah, he is definitely biased, and that's mentioned so many times in these notes, and I'll get to these in just a second. Her apology, yeah, poor me. I mean, isn't that her cycle? Yeah, gaming granny, that that's the first interaction I ever had with Uni. You can't believe she's back to tweeting BS as she speaks. I mean, I feel like every time I get on a live stream, she starts going tweet happy. You would have given KJ another chance had she come out tonight and taken accountability. And, you know, I do want to say one thing, like, as far as her, she addresses, was it in the live stream last night? Somebody was asking pointed questions, and she addresses that she can't take accountability because of the lawsuit. I'm pretty sure that that's true. So I don't think she will take accountability until everything is handled. But, you know, there are some scenarios where people have given her criticism that she could take accountability for and move on, but she's choosing not to. She just tweeted, got my attorney on speed dial, keep talking. Hey, Mila, why would she tweet that? I like that. That's where my confusion with her is. For a white upper middle class, married, now bisexual woman and an endless victim, what is the next lie? I'm really waiting for her to claim she was born a poor Black child. Hey, Dark Lily, she apologized to the other creators because she's... No, I definitely understand that, Elizabeth, but I do think it's worth at least giving her the slightest bit of credibility for that. Not credibility, but credit for that, because we all know Katie, that probably burned her inside to have to acknowledge the fact that some of what she's been saying and consistently been saying and kind of been a nasty to her subs, to other people ongoing, is because of how she has talked about other creators. Hey, H. Yeah, I did catch on as well that she said, I'm sorry you felt. She made sure to, she wasn't taking any accountability in saying those bits. I agree with that. Hey, Tiny Dancer or Kendra, which would you prefer me to refer you as? She could have taken accountability for the things she's done to everyone. I agree. She could have easily taken accountability of things outside of the lawsuit. Her other tweet was, I'm going to be a lot richer soon. See, it's stuff like that. Like, that is such a high school or even younger. That's like a middle schooler mentality, like sticking your tongue out at the other side and saying, na, 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 boo, boo. You know, that's the vibe that I'm getting from her as every day goes on, because she continues to make a pre-recorded video during the day, maybe kind of enticing people to potentially give her a chance. And then at night, she is going on these Twitter rampages. She's getting on other people's live streams. She's calling people out. You know, it's just like she's being very Jekyll and Hyde from what it seems. Is she is during the day trying to make face and apologize for all of her mishaps over the daytime or over the nighttime. And then at night, the cycle repeats itself. And she starts to go on these Twitter rampages, on people's live streams and people's live chats, and totally like wipes the slate clean from all of the apologizing or accountability she may have tried to take during the day. Does that make sense? Hey, Phoebes, how are you? She apologized to people with a larger platform. Yeah. I was my ears were very tuned in on who exactly she was going to apologize to. Tiny Dancer is fine. Okay. Good grief. She can't. What do you mean that she can't shit right? I don't understand. Hey, Nick and Steph. Hey, Mila. I may have said hi to you already. You're honestly concerned for her. She's all over the place. You think something's not right. She cannot be behaving the way she is with something not. I mean, I think I understand what you're trying to say, and I don't necessarily know if that's something to be concerned about. She does have people around her. She's obviously in contact with her attorney. I would think if she was in any type of danger, it would be addressed. Yes, Phoebes, I did. I did watch that. That's why I decided we should probably just go live and talk about all of my notes that I have, and then we can talk about that depending on where we're at and if you guys want to. We'll probably end up just mixing it all together. What's my Twitter? I think it's my handle here, Amanda Pants. Yeah, she does the apology tour. I don't. Spurgey says, I think if she had the best smelling shit ever, people would still say it was wrong and stank. Maybe. I mean, everybody's up for criticism all the time. Not everybody's going to have the same opinion and the same thought process and the same comments. You may like strawberries. That doesn't mean I'm going to like strawberries. I might think strawberries taste like dirt, but you like them because that is our opinion. We're different people. We can have different opinions. We can be respectful of each other. Can we not? Hey, Raymond. You were wondering if Shane was going to sue. I don't think Shane is going to sue. I mean, personally, I think if Shane was going to do something about all of the slander and things that have gone on with not just her or Sanders in that whole situation, but beyond that, I think if he was going to, he would have already sent documentation out to people. I honestly think, I think Shane's a genuine person and can understand where people were coming from during all of that when everything was getting drudged up. I think he can genuinely see where the concerns were and why he was getting some of the negativity he was. But some of it was probably unwarranted and out of place. Yeah. At one point I can totally say that is probably what was happening, but I think he's an adult and he can see that. He chose to remove himself from the situation because he knew it wasn't going to get any better for a while. Now that things have died down, he is slowly coming back to the internet. She needs to fire the attorney. Hey, Della. Oh, yeah, Mila, I understand what you're saying. Potentially. I mean, Katie's strawberries look brown and taste like shit. Hey, Nikki. She's already deleted her snarky tweets about having her lawyer in speed dial and how she's going to be rich. Well, I mean, she knows that she has people who are screenshotting her. And I guess we'll just talk about like this troll thing before we move on. I have said before in previous videos that I'm not saying Katie doesn't have trolls. I'm not saying any creator doesn't have trolls, especially once you have a large platform. I feel like now, like common day, it is known that if you have a large platform, you are going to get haters. You are going to get trolls. It is part of the gig. It is part of what you end up signing up for. It's something that you have to be prepared to deal with. I don't necessarily think Katie is using this term and relating it to these specific people appropriately. Some of the people that, do you think so, Phoebes? I don't know if he did. I've never heard anything. She earned those trolls though. Well, the problem is, I'm not disagreeing with you, okay? However, like we really need to, in my opinion, this conversation needs to happen on a large scale. Like trolls are part of what happens, but you cannot pinpoint somebody for having a difference of opinion as a troll, or somebody who is willing to call out your behavior as a troll. I mean, that's not what a troll is. From my understanding, and maybe you guys need to educate me, because my understanding of a troll is somebody who's just like super annoying, constantly like trying to berate you with negative messages, trying to make you feed into the toxicity. I mean, maybe that's not the definition of a troll, but that's what I thought an internet troll was. They're a nuisance. They're assholes. They're a pain to deal with. When it starts breaching the level of being doxxed, intentionally people doxing you and things of that nature, do I think there should be things in place to prevent that from happening? And if people are going to be that spiteful and negative, they should be called out, or there should be some kind of ramification. I do, but I also think that it is negligent of somebody with a platform her size to call out people as being these said trolls and claiming certain individuals and certain channels have been doing all of these behaviors when I don't think it's true. From what I have observed, it's not true. And, I would think if she's making all of these claims that she would have some kind of proof, because according to her, all of these trolls, they all are able to provide proof, and she wants to spin the alleged proof that they have as being clipped together. Other than YouTube videos, and I don't mean Little Red, I'm just talking about people who talk about Katie and provide her criticism. They do clip up her videos to show what they are criticizing. But other than that, from what I have seen, the little bits that I have seen on Twitter of people sharing clips of her and things like that, they are not clipped together to spin a narrative. It is literally a section of what she is saying and providing it to people to make up their mind, like, oh, you're not sure if Katie has made this comment. Well, here's the clip of where she has made that comment. And if Katie didn't private her videos, people could then, when they are providing that clip of whatever video, wherever it's coming from, they could say, oh, it's from this video. You can go listen to the context if you're interested in the context. So in my opinion, these creators are shooting themselves in the foot when they are choosing to delete or privatize videos where this information that looks bad is coming from. To me, it is you making yourself look even worse to some degree, because it looks like you're hiding something. The fact that you're deleting stuff and privating stuff, let's just say privating, because she's saying she's privated stuff and not deleted it. Let's say she's privating stuff. It still looks super shady. Rather than privating it, especially when you are going through like a public issue and you're being scrutinized by almost everybody at this point, rather than privating it, why don't you say, these are the videos, this is what I meant when I said these things, this is the context of my thought process, and allow people to be able to deduce what their opinion is. I did that with a drama I was in recently, like a month ago, because I didn't want people to be feeling like I was making them believe me or feeling like I was trying to make them pick sides, because that was not the case. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about him in a positive light since all of that. So it's pretty evident, like, I was trying to be an adult in that situation. It was up to that creator if they wanted to delete their stuff. That's on them. I wanted people to be able to see the whole perspective, right? I feel the same way for other creators. If you're going to start deleting stuff because you maybe said something you don't agree with, why not just address it? Put out a statement, update your description box, do something to acknowledge that your thought process has changed or where you were in that context, and move on. I'm sorry I haven't been looking at the chat. You've never seen, yeah, I've never seen a spliced clip either. And I've never seen her be doxxed, but I'm also, and I'm not trying to say it's happened, please bear that in mind. I am just saying I have not been on half of the platforms that some of this stuff is alleged to have happened. I've never been in this Facebook group. I've never, and I'm not saying it's happening there. Please bear that in mind. But I haven't accessed those things. I have accessed the subreddit maybe once or twice, but I have been very vocal about the fact I can't work the subreddit. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're not there, but I would think if it was there, Katie would show that these things have happened. I would think if she's wanting to hold on to the fact that she has been doxxed, she would have grabbed a screenshot of it and she would have shown it. You know, like that's where my thing is. Like she wants to say all of these things and like point and narrow it down to just a few select people, but then she's not really showing anything. She's just saying stuff, which is fine. Like I know all I do is provide my opinion and regurgitate stuff and things like that, but I'm also not trying to say people doxed me. I'm also not trying to say I have been attacked or I'm being targeted or I'm being harassed. I'm not making claims like that. To make claims like that, I feel like you need to have legitimate documentation, screenshots, something to show. In those instances, I do think you need to be able to show your audience those things, especially if you're going to call out just one person or just as a handful of people. Hey, Melody, you know, I don't think it's fair for her to say all of this stuff and then claim what is happening to her isn't fair. Is Caroline leaving? Okay, bye, Caroline. I'm sorry. Some of the stuff she talks about happened over a year ago. She can't let go of what a troll did a year ago. She talks about harassment every day. It feels false. What's going on, Tiny Dancer? What did I miss? Yes, Phoebes, I am the one that BX. And I don't want to say he attacked me, but it was definitely him and his mods. There is screenshot proof that they said in the Discord to all come into my live stream, and they did. And that's fine. They were within their rights to do that. And I got visibly upset and was crying. I mean, that live stream is still up on my channel. So people can make up their own mind. They can rewatch the live chat and see what happened. Well, Tiny Dancer, I just don't think she's probably seen you in other channels. I know you're not spamming. And I don't think Della would actually mean that. She may have said that, but Della is very defensive of me and Britt because she experienced all of that stuff that I was talking about, where we kind of dealt with some drama ourselves. She was one of the people who had to deal with that. So her guard is up. I'm sure she didn't mean anything by it. I'm sorry if you feel that she was trying to claim you are a troll and she's not. She knows that you've been an ex-mod of Katie's. I don't know how she would know that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it probably was just a misunderstanding, miscommunication. Della came in a little bit late. No, and I understand that. I get what you're saying. I think in this instance, Della was just being defensive. I don't typically have people comment a lot, but it's fine. Is everything okay? You guys good? Yeah, Tiny Dancer, I've heard your story before. Okay, we're gonna move on. We're not going to worry about it. Like I said, I think it was just, yeah, I don't think it was meant to be taken offensively, and I can see where it could be taken offensively with everybody's guards up lately. I can understand that, but at the same time, like Della's an OG. And I don't think she would ever call somebody something without legitimate proof or legitimate concern. So she was probably just concerned. It's not a big deal. We're going to move on from it. If it becomes another issue, I will deal with it later. So let's go ahead and get into my notes because there's a lot of them. So the part that I started, and I hope I didn't miss any, because like I said, I was really listening to this and taking notes as I was working today. So where I started to take notes is when they're both on the call, Katie and Uni are both on the call, and they start talking about Emily, the attorney who's covered this, Emily D. Baker. Just a heads up, I am not going to be reading the chat. So if you feel that you need me to see something or something, you have an opinion that is important, I am going to be one of those people right now who say, please tag my name because it does show red and I will know you guys are trying to alert my attention. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume you're providing your comments and what you think of what I'm saying. And when I'm asking a rhetorical question or a question to you guys, I will pause and read your feedback. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense and that works for everybody. Okay. Yeah, it does get confusing. Hey, John, it's okay. So the first note that I took here was that Uni makes a statement agreeing with Katie that Emily is being coerced to talk about the case by, it's assumed that she's being coerced by Tati's attorneys, Michael Saltz. They continue to say that she's biased in how she's talking about stuff and how she's covering it because she hasn't reached out to Katie or gotten a statement from Katie or Katie's attorney. From what I have seen of what Emily has stated, I don't feel that she has been biased. I think she's been provided a lot of information via social media to support a lot of the claims in the suit against Katie, and she is just regurgitating that information. I don't think it's fair to say that she is biased because she hasn't talked to Katie. And that's very much, to me, that was what they were trying to get across, is Emily is being coerced by this attorney because she's talked to this attorney on Twitter and she hasn't talked to me at all, and she's only covering one side of it. And they're making it seem as if this has been an ongoing thing. I'm pretty sure almost all of us have watched Emily D. Baker from the very first video she made covering this stuff. And this was before she had any contact on Twitter with Tati's attorney, from what I remember. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I feel that she covered this, and then her channel grew quickly, and she had reached out to these other people. Now, I might be wrong. She may have known them previous to this, and I was just unaware of it. But from what I had seen and how I have followed it, Emily didn't start talking about the lawsuits because she started talking to the attorney. So how would she be coerced to talk about this? That's my first question to them. Can you answer that question? Why you think she was coerced if she seemingly didn't have any contact with Michael Saltz when this was all first broke? Do you feel that the same way after hearing Uni Pebble speak on how he defended her? Yeah, I mean, yeah, Uni and Augie's stuff we'll get to after we get through all of this, because he pretty much didn't change his opinions. If anything, he backed down when Shannon or the other individual, what was his name? I know Bobalax was there and somebody else. I can't think of his name. I'm so sorry. We're talking about this. Anytime they would point a question at him, for him to answer, he talked in a circle. So we're going to keep going on. Augie is Augie AFC. He is another commentary channel. He's had his own run-in with Katie before when all the Sanders Kennedy stuff happened. So again, for anybody coming in, I'm not going to be paying attention to the chat. If it's something important, please tag me so I can see the red on my screen out of my peripherals and address you guys. So the next point that I made is one of them. I'm going to probably read these verbatim, and I took these in shorthand, so if they don't make sense, I'll clarify. One of the main issues with Katie is she's claiming she is being done wrong, but she does this on her own channel. She continues to be hypocritical about how things work or are being reported when she is the one in the hot seat. To many, this is being hypocritical, which is causing her to lose credibility and integrity because it comes off self-entitled and self-righteous. Makes her hard to trust, like for her subscribers to trust her moving forward. With the amount of evidence archived on her, this has been ongoing for her whole time on YouTube. And then I add, I don't know how any other creator whose whole career time on YouTube has been littered with so many inconsistencies as KJ. So what I'm meaning by this is, like, Katie is the first creator I have ever come across who, from the second they got on YouTube, had issues. I have never known of a creator to come onto a platform and already have people who dislike you to the degree people disliked her. I just didn't understand that. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I've heard her say before that she brought her following over from when she was writing, and we will get into all of that and how she gets into that later, but it still doesn't make sense. Like, how is it like you started your YouTube channel and immediately you had all of these haters? Anyways, my next point is that Katie states Tati's lawyer has been following unknown troll accounts which have been stalking and harassing her for the past 18 months. And I say, how does she prove these are all troll accounts? How have they stalked or harassed you? Are they pulling things like your birth certificates? Are they looking and exposing your relationship with your family members? So what I was saying here is Katie was making a statement in quotations, because she literally said this verbatim, is that Michael Saltz is following, quote, known troll accounts which have been following and harassing me for the past 18 months, end quote, which she has consistently maintained this 18-month time frame, and that's when all these trolls came about. And her legitimacy or explanation for these troll accounts has changed. It has changed from they are people who just hate her. It has changed to people she has pissed off. It has changed to people that Tati sent after her and things like that. Like, every time I hear her talk about these troll accounts and like try to be specific about how she gained these alleged troll accounts after her, the reason why she has them has changed. It's never been a consistent story on how she has obtained all of these trolls, right? At least not that I have seen, other than the fact that she's had trolls for 18 months. And from that statement, my questions to her would be, how does she prove that these are troll accounts? How is she able to prove that they're troll accounts? Just because somebody's providing you criticism or calling you out for stuff does not make them a troll. How have they stalked or harassed her? I think to like hold up legality-wise, stalking her or harassing, it has to be from the same person consistently and documented. I'm not saying these things aren't occurring to her, but does she have proof of that? Does she have proof of that claim? And me just being me and making an observation, like she's saying that these people are stalking and harassing her. But as far as I know, no one has pulled her birth certificate. No one has tried to expose her by contacting her family or seeing what relationship she has with her family members. I know she has historically at times talked about being doxxed. I know she has at times stated that people were reaching out to her family when doxes have happened. Again, please keep in mind, I'm not saying those things haven't happened, but she hasn't shown us that it has. And I'm not saying she needs to, but if she's going to come at everybody else and say, who legitimately have screenshots of everything that they're claiming, and she's just trying to argue that it's not legitimate, you kind of are going to need to back your point up to prove that all these people are wrong, in my opinion, at this point in time. Another thing I said was, moving on from that, was Katie contradicts herself about having an attorney and not being able to talk to him, but states she wasn't served, but her attorney was. And I state that this was a huge contradiction. So during this time frame, Katie is talking about how she has an attorney and she's talking to him regularly, but that she hasn't been served. But she later, like 2 seconds later, makes a comment about how her attorney is talking with Michael Saltz, Tati's attorney. How would they be talking if your attorney hasn't been given anything? And Michael Saltz has shown there has been seen on the internet screenshots that was part of a document that, as far as we know, hasn't been filed with the courts, but a document that they put together that shows that this email was sent, and that her attorney, Aaron Hall, responding to it. So it's a huge contradiction. She can't keep up with what narrative she's trying to push, and she's getting confused, or she doesn't know herself and is just saying things to say them and then realizing what she said was a misspeak. She then claims that this is strategic and that she's a smokescreen for the other lawsuit, claiming that this is what they did to James Charles and now they're doing it to her. I mean, could it be? I mean, realistically, we do need to take a step back and think of that. It could be. It does not, though, dismiss the lawsuit. It does not dismiss the lawsuit. Doesn't mean that it could be their intention is to, have everybody distracted by the partnership lawsuit, by this ongoing YouTube shit. Yeah, it could. But in reality, anybody who's covering the lawsuit shit with Tati, James, and Halo Beauty against Without a Crystal Ball and vice versa are still also very closely following the lawsuit with the partner. She's trying to push this narrative, in my opinion, that people are just following the drama with her and people aren't following the drama with the partnership, which isn't true, because Emily D. Baker did another video in relation to just the partner lawsuit, right? So she goes on, Katie is asking, why is it when she has an opinion and about her, why it's being targeted, in a sense of asking why Tati didn't sue. She names PewDiePie, she names D'Angelo Wallace, and she's trying to say here that they have larger platforms, and compared to their platforms, her platform is smaller, and that these larger creators than her were also providing criticism and opinions about Tati. So why is Katie being the one who's targeted? With this, I can see where she's maybe trying to push or like convince people of something, but this goes to the primary fact that we've talked about before, is that the main issue people have with Katie, the reason she is being sued, is because of how she was providing and producing her information to the public. It wasn't the fact, is it creepy that she did everything she did to get the information which has caused her to be in this situation? Yes, it is. I think everybody's in agreement to that. The problem is how she chose to say those things. She chose to paint James Westbrook in a very particular light. She made those decisions. And if it ends up being because she couldn't understand or she couldn't decipher the legal documents that she was reading to do this, then maybe she shouldn't have talked about it. Maybe, I'm just giving her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was an error and a lapse of knowledge, her not being knowledgeable about the legal documents she was reading and not being able to decipher them. So she just was coming to conclusions, and her conclusions were wrong. I mean, that is a possibility, but still, Tati Westbrook isn't trying to sue PewDiePie or D'Angelo Wallace because they stated their opinions. They didn't state their opinions as facts, and they didn't take legitimate evidence, or information which was public, could be public. They didn't take that and twist it to push a certain narrative. Catch what I'm saying? I don't think Katie understands that that's like the main issue here. So then a quote that I have after she talked about that was, "Made videos causing far more damage than me." That was a quote. Katie said that directly, that these other channels were causing Tati far more damage than what her little channel could have caused Tati. I don't know how she could prove that. How could she prove that their channels did more damage than hers? Are people coming out and saying that they didn't buy Halo Beauty because of what PewDiePie said? Because there's people who have said in my live streams that they didn't buy or they stopped buying Halo Beauty products because of what Katie said. That was in my last live. So, again, it's showing the fact that she doesn't see the real issue here. And maybe she does, and she's choosing to continue fighting this fight. Who knows? Then Katie makes the statement that the Bye Sister video is what ended Tati's career. So in my opinion, her making this statement that the Bye Sister video is what ended Tati's career is her trying to say that despite the videos I made, that D'Angelo made, that PewDiePie made, what really ended her career was her own doing of filming that video. That's what I am taking Katie is saying. And if that's not what she means, then again, her choice of words is why she's in this situation. If that's not what she meant, that's what it seems like to everybody. At least that's what it seemed like to me watching. The next thing I have on here is Uni states people in the commentary community are not reading definitions and getting up on things in relation to defamation and slander. So he's alleging that everybody who has been talking about this, no matter the channel size, that we are uneducated and we don't know the definition of defamation, and that Katie didn't defame anybody, and that we need to learn what defamation means. And then they go on to say that defamation is dependent on the effect it has on a business. And in parentheses, I put, so Tati doesn't have grounds for defamation against Katie, who made statements which were half-truths, so false about Tati, her husband, and her company. But Katie can prove this against Tati and James, who have not said a damn thing at all, and their attorney who represents them, who, again, has not said anything. So Katie, they were insinuating that, Katie, I think at this point had stated it is her plan to countersue, and that they have defamed her. And my argument is what's in quotes. So she's trying to say that Tati doesn't have grounds for saying that Katie defamed her, even though Katie was the one providing statements, not opinions, but statements based from opinion. and she was using information and providing half-truths of said information to paint a bad light, that's not defamation. But Tati Westbrook and James Westbrook and Halo Beauty, or she didn't say Halo, it was Michael Saltz, they're defaming her, even though Tati hasn't said anything. And James Westbrook hasn't said anything to defame her. And what Michael Saltz has done online, I haven't seen anything defamatory, and I don't think an attorney would publicly defame a creator that he is actively suing. Right? So, I mean, this just goes to show their circle of argument. And this is on every single point. So then Uni continues to talk about how Katie had only had 10,000 subs at that point. And in my quotation, like my own notes, next to the comment, I said, why the fuck does that matter? Verbatim, that's what I put on here. Like, why does that matter? Just because Katie had 10,000 subs, that's 10,000 people who were listening to her make these statements, painting Tati Westbrook, James Westbrook, and Halo Beauty in a terrible light. That definitely could affect their business. There have been people who have legitimately said in multiple people's live streams that they have stopped buying or they didn't buy products because of what they saw Katie say. So how can he point blank say this when he knows that Katie is already been sued? Why is he putting himself at risk? Is he under the impression that since they've already filed this suit, he can't be involved? And that would be, that to me, that's even more like outlandish, because Katie has made it very clear that anybody who talks about her at points during this, that anybody who talks about her or the situation are setting themselves up to be a part of a countersuit. So why is he willing to not worry about maybe being involved in his, like involved and end up being involved in this? Katie at that point does go to say that she only had 2,000 subs and that YouTube wasn't her job at the time. Again, I don't know why that matters. And I don't know if this is when this is when we start getting into it. So right after that, Katie starts laying the groundwork to say she started to continually repeat that she was doing investigative work at the time in the written world. And she kept emphasizing that there is a difference between YouTube and the written world. Like when you are in the written world, I guess you're expected to dig into people. That's what she is alluding to. That's what I am picking up from what she's saying. But when she continued to say that she was doing investigative work at the time, she's trying to set a groundwork that doesn't make sense to me. Why does that have anything to do with how you chose to sit in front of a camera and say anything? It holds no ground at this point. You are trying to backpedal. In my opinion, she is trying to backpedal and set a stage for people who maybe don't know of everything else that she's done. So then she goes on. I said, why did she bring it? My note to myself was, why did she bring it to YouTube? And she says right after that, that she was following a lead. So Katie got a lead, and that's why she started investigating. Then she says she denies she had contacted anyone in Tati's family, that she looked at the public records on Ancestry.com. And then she goes on to state that people are acting like she went to hospitals to get people's birth certificates. And she started talking about how people are claiming she was creepy and that she was stalking Tati. Well, she then says that, you know, she brought that upon herself by making statements in the famous clip. That's my own notes. So from this, like, what she doesn't understand and why people are willing to kind of like get on this is the fact that in that clip that's going around where Katie says that she dug 2 days into finding all of this information, she makes it seem like she went to the ends of the earth in that clip. What I get, you guys let me know what feeling you get. I get the feeling that she dedicated a lot of time to try and find something. And she is trying to justify the fact that she did that was because she got a lead. She doesn't provide any other information other than she got a lead, and she wasn't doing YouTube full time, but she got a lead and she was in this investigative work for writing, which made it okay for her to go to these links, is the set that I'm getting from how she's explaining this during the live. And to her, that doesn't seem creepy. And she doesn't understand why people are calling her creepy for that. She's not realizing that that clip is very damning of her. That's not tea, that's stalking. And that's the thing, like it doesn't seem to be that she is understanding why people are pulling the conclusions that they are, or at least she's not acknowledging. And I to a degree, like I said at the beginning of this, I understand people like her not owning anything in this case because she is involved in a lawsuit. Her to take any accountability or say, yes, I handled this incorrectly, is going to be a very bad idea for her. So I don't blame her entirely, but I will talk about that stuff as we move on. She then starts talking about, the both of them rather start talking about how Keem and Creepshow were sharing the clips, this famous clip I'm talking about, and Uni says that they don't want to give context to it. My counter to that is, what context is needed? What context is really needed to that clip? If that video is no longer up, Katie has damned herself by privating that video. If Katie has an issue or Uni has an issue that there's no context to that clip, why don't you direct everybody to the video where this clip is pulled from so people can see the context? That's my argument. Like, what are they trying to say? Because at this point, they're just spewing a lot of hot air, in my opinion. Okay, next page. We're only on page 2 out of 9.5 or 8.5. So let's hope I can move this along quickly. So, then they talk about how Unirock said that Keem was trolling Katie. I would like them to explain to me how Keemstar trolled Katie. How can they say that Keemstar trolled her? Can anybody explain or try to explain that logic? What Keem did, and I think he's probably, I don't know, he kind of appears that he maybe has a track record of speaking and then doing research after he speaks and then retracting or restating things, which if he wants to do that, he can. But Elizabeth, exactly, but that's not trolling. He supported her, didn't know the context of everything, got the context to what was actually being said, and then was like, no, I take it back. That's not trolling you. That's being somewhat credible. Should he maybe, in my opinion, before he went into her live chat and said, I support you, made sure he was aware, especially since this is dealing with something legal, made sure that he did support her? Probably. Am I going to say he is a bad creator or made a bad decision because he went in that live and said he supported her without knowing? No. But he is making sure that he is not only letting her know, but he's letting her fans and his own fans who probably heard about this, hey, I'm taking it back because there's some shady shit going on and I didn't know about it. There is nothing wrong with that. That is not trolling behavior. She's butthurt that he pulled his support. he provided why he pulled his support, and then they wanted to kind of give him shit for saying allegedly the whole time. In my opinion, when Keemstar continued to say allegedly on Twitter in that clip, it was to drive home a point. Maybe I'm one of the few who can see through like dry humor and what he was trying to get across. But what I instilled from that was he was saying, if you would have used this term, you maybe wouldn't be in this mess. But because you chose not to, I'm going to make sure I CYA right now and make it very clear to you where your mistake was. That's what I read, and that's from somebody who has never watched Keemstar. So the fact that I can potentially read into that and understand what he was trying to do, and these two are so thick-headed, Uni and Katie are so thick-headed, they didn't see that. Instead, it's a big deal that he kept using allegedly. And it's like, really? You obviously have no sense of humor. So then they go on to talk about how Katie talks about how she deactivated her Twitter. And she says she deactivated her Twitter because Keem was making defamatory statements, but he was using the term allegedly. When he made that video, like pulling back his support from her, what statement was defamatory? Can her or Uni answer that question? What statement did Keemstar make that was defamatory towards her? I don't remember one. Do you guys? Then they complain she was getting trolled by Keemstar's 5 million supporters, which is why she had to deactivate. I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of this stream. If you are going to put yourself on a platform and gain a pretty decent sized platform, you are setting yourself up at some point to be trolled. Even Creepshow Shannon, I don't know what she prefers to be called, so I'm probably going to go between the two. Even Shannon said tonight in the stream with Uni on Augie's channel, she said that she gets trolled all the time. And I'm sure she does, because she understands that with the platform comes people who are just going to hate you because they don't want to like you. There's going to come weirdos who are going to try and talk to you about weird shit, because some people are weird. There's nothing wrong with that, but is some of that behavior off-putting to creators? Yeah, but that doesn't make the people who are doing these things responsible. If you're not a creator, if you're a creator and you're not drawing a line in the sand, if you have somebody who is constantly DMing you and you're feeling uncomfortable, if you don't have that conversation with people like a freaking adult, how do you expect that subscriber to know? That's my mentality. Like, I'm just a super transparent person. I'm like that in my professional work as well as my personal life. I just don't understand like why people on this fucking platform can't be transparent with people. I feel like a lot of these issues that creators end up having wouldn't be an issue. Then they start talking about how Uni kind of like tries to hype up his channel and says that he knows Keemstar watches his streams and invites Keemstar to come and talk to them. It never happened in this stream, but I think it's funny he did that. Katie then starts saying she makes claims that Keemstar is one to talk because he consistently is defaming and brings up Etika when she's making this comment. Now, I am not going to try and talk about the Etika situation because I was unaware of it until recently. I don't know enough about that situation. I know obviously the outcome, but the fact that Katie would bring that up from what I have heard is a super low blow and way out of bounds, in my opinion. Like, there's no reason to try and do that other than to entice people. Then she goes on to say that Ethan and Ilya, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, from the H3H3 podcast, have been supporting and following her for a long time. Then she goes on to clarify that they're not friends, but that they have DM'd before. She kind of alluded that some of the DMs aren't always reciprocated, which we all, I think, are on the same page with that. It's funny that she is wanting to push out that she is being supported by Ethan when in the Frenemies podcast, like, he wasn't not supporting her, but he also wasn't supporting her. And they were low-key making fun of her, and they called her creepy. But it's okay for Ethan to call her creepy, but not okay for any other person, any other commentator, criticizer of her to call her creepy. Then it's trolling. I mean, the hypocrisy runs really deep, and it's really old, and it's really annoying. And at some point during this, I started to get super petty in my comments on like my opinions and things. Uni then states that he read all the lawsuits. However, he later states he is unable to decipher lawsuits, but he says he read them all, and he asked Katie why the attorney would give Emily D. Baker the documents before filing them. And then Katie's response is that I don't know if she responded to that question. Instead, her response was that Emily was irresponsible for talking about the filing, which wasn't filed with the courts, and she makes assumptions that they could have been in mediation. And what she's doing is she's trying to discredit Emily D. Baker. She's trying to say that Emily D. Baker could have potentially ruined a law case because she talked about stuff and she didn't know where they were at in the filings. Again, Katie is kind of making assumptions here. She doesn't know, as well as none of us know, what is going on with the partner lawsuit. And if Michael Saltz wants to provide her documents and know that she's going to be expressing them on her channel, I don't understand what the issue is. How is that any different from the source who tipped her off to this lead to start digging into the Westbrooks and Halo to begin with? Again, there's another hypocrisy. She just is unable to see that this is why people have issues with her. I put here that they do not understand both Clark and Katie could have had negative effects on Halo. So Katie and Unirock are just going on about the ex-business partner and Katie and how there's no way they could have caused any negative effect to Halo Beauty or to the Westbrooks. How do they know that? Isn't that what's to be proven in court? Correct me if I'm wrong. People in the chat were saying that we're asking Uni to address with Katie if the business partner was Katie's source. And Katie doesn't deny it, but she kind of gets a little agitated when she's being asked those questions, from what it seemed like to me. Katie then says that Emily hasn't given up her source when she's been talking about where she's gotten. This is her again trying to discredit and invalidate Emily and her channel, which is just dumb. Really, it's dumb, because Katie is claiming that Emily never provided her source on where she got all of these lawsuits. She did. From every video I have seen, Emily's provided where she got the original lawsuits. She said she initially got them on Twitter, and then she legitimately stated that Tati's attorneys gave her the other document she talked about, and she did say it was never filed with the courts. Emily has consistently said that the lawsuits are just alleged at the beginning of every video when she has discussed any of these lawsuits. So either Katie is not watching these things, or she's only hearing what she wants to hear. we can make assumptions as viewers and people watching all of this unfold as to which we think it is, what we think is going on. But either way, like, Katie really needs, in my opinion, to take a step back. Then Katie starts saying that Emily is putting herself in the same scenario Katie did by talking about these things. And my thing next to it says, how? Explain to me how, because Emily not only showed the documents while she went through them to the audience and explained them in their entirety and was factual about facts and stated her opinions clearly as opinions. Katie did not show what she was saying or have proof of what she was claiming to her audience. Katie also spoke in factual terms only. Although it could have been her opinion, she was making damaging statements because they were her opinions and she was stating them as facts. So how is she comparing the two? The fact that Emily not only was showing visual documentation and going through it with her audiences at the same time and very clearly stating when it was her opinion, whereas Katie didn't show where she was getting this information or how she got this information and continued to project her opinion in a statement format, and she was providing half information, and the fact that she wasn't really providing the full story. It's known now. She was not providing when James Westbrook had any issues with the law. She did not provide the full context about his grandmother. I mean, there's multiple things. You making those comments, as whether they were your opinion or not, she needs to be able to take a step back and realize that she made them as statements. She chose to word them in a way that would entice people to think a certain way about the Westbrooks and Halo. If she doesn't see that, then she maybe needs to go back to writing, because that's definitely what you did, and there's video proof of that. Uni then states that Tati's claim is Katie was taking public info and providing her opinion. And then I say, go back to the above comment. Can Uni not read? He obviously does not hold any degree in law. Exactly. And my point here was that Uni was just blowing smoke for Katie. He was just encouraging her to, yeah, go get him. Keep going. You go, girl. That's what he was doing in making these statements. They then say Emily D. Baker was making it seem like Katie deleted evidence. I put in parentheses that Uni talks about his mods deleting people because they were making statements about Katie, requesting people to tell them why they had their opinion. The irony, because he was not only requiring the same respect from Katie at all during her time on the stream, just letting her talk from her perspective while he agreed, and claims that people are there to troll. So what I was trying to get in this, if it doesn't make sense, was they start to talk about how it is their opinions that Emily D. Baker was making it seem like Katie deleted evidence, and they were starting to address that. However, as they started to address that, people in the comment sections were asking hard-hitting questions. Some were probably being mean. I couldn't see the chat and replay because I was just listening. But they were saying, from what it seemed, people were asking legitimate questions and providing their opinions about Katie, and some people were being a little bit harsh, and the moderators were blocking them and deleting them. And he says not to, but they continue to do so anyways, which we'll get into that here shortly. We're on page 3. The problem with how the lawsuit is written is wrong. Katie states, based off of what she said, no one knows the context of what she was looking at, her source, then she should have shown it. This directly contradicts what they were saying about needing sources. Plus, she said she didn't have that much info to go off of. So which is it? They were saying that everything is wrong in the lawsuit, and Katie is kind of talking about she says something along the lines of no one knows the context of the information that she got and how she got it and what she was viewing. And my argument to that is, if you're trying to defend what you said and how you said it, then why are you not showing it now? I mean, now that you are in a lawsuit, I understand that, but why at the time, if you wanted your opinion to be known, why were you not showing these things? You obviously knew how to and had the equipment to then. So why weren't you? And then they kind of talk about that they were giving Emily an issue that she allegedly to them wasn't stating her sources, although she was. They wanted to harp on her about that, but it's okay for Katie to not reveal her sources. There's a huge hypocrisy and contradiction there. And Katie also had made a statement earlier in the stream that she didn't even have that much information to go off of, and she kind of contradicts that here. Then it starts kind of being talked about. This I just found super petty, and is why I put it in here, was that Emily D. Baker asked her live chat what this current situation with all the suing and stuff like that, what we should refer it to, because we have Dramageddons, we have things like that. For some reason, it's a YouTube culture thing to nickname dramas as something. And the live chat came up with tsunami. And Unirock started to use that term to relate to this whole scenario. And people I don't know if people in the chat were giving him a hard time or what ended up happening, but Uni got sidetracked, which goes to show he also can't focus and maintain. I'm ignoring the chat right now because I won't get through this if I acknowledge you guys. So I have to get through this, then acknowledge you when appropriate or at the end. It seems that Katie and Unirock are unable to do that. They are unable to not look at the chat. And if they do look at the chat, they read one or two comments and they get sidetracked. I'm kind of reading some of your comments as I'm going, but I'm not allowing that to sidetrack me. It seems that they are unable to do that, so they should hide their chat if they're wanting to get their points across. Anyways, that's just my own opinion. He goes on to kind of get upset that someone was trying to say he was using the term, and he took offense to the fact that he was like, well, anybody can use it. Emily didn't come up with it. Her chat did, and calls them a ding dong and stated it was originally from the live chat, which is true. Like, the viewers did pick what to name this whole stuff. But at the end of the day, it was named Tsunami because Emily D. Baker asked the question to that live chat, hey, what should we name it? So in a sense, just to be an ass, I'm going to say this, in a sense, Emily did come up with it. Emily did coin it. So that's just me just being petty. Then Uni goes on and kind of defends Katie in the sense that she's not deleting it, that deleting the videos isn't hiding evidence, and talks about how you can download your analytics before you delete a video. And then Katie follows up and states that she didn't delete anything. She privated videos and says that privating them is not deleting evidence. Why is she worried about potentially not following what was ordered and defending her actions as if she wasn't served? So my point here was, she earlier wanted to say she wasn't served, and here she kind of gets a little bit defensive and saying that I'm not deleting stuff, I'm just privating it. And my counter argument, this is where I obviously start to get irritated with them talking in circles with one another, is why even address that? If you haven't been served, why are you even addressing it then? Why are you saying there's no way this is happening if you haven't seen those documents? Do you get what I mean? Anyways, which if you haven't seen Emily D. Baker's video, go watch that. She explains the analytics thing in her video rundown of that. Then what happens is they talk about how Uni makes a comment that Emily shouldn't claim Katie deleted stuff if it's private, and spoke about how the analytics being a concern Emily brought up. Emily was referring to the Twitter being deactivated. Katie could have cleared it up and stated she backed up the analytics. So this was a brief, like, little point that they wanted to make. They were trying to claim that Katie is pushing out to everybody watching her that Katie's deleting evidence. They obviously are trying to somewhat watch stuff, but what Emily D. Baker was referring to wasn't her YouTube video. From what the video I saw, it was referring to her Twitter and the fact that she deactivated her Twitter, which caused the analytics to go away when you deactivate it, unless Katie had backed up those analytics. And if that was the case, and this was their issue, why didn't Katie just flat out say, I did deactivate it, she's already addressed that, and I did back up my analytics before I did so? She could have very easily cleared it up, but instead she wants to propel this. They really want this to continue, because despite what we think, they want this to continue. They want to, and Uni is starting to be a part of this too, because now he's being talked about on other channels. Now he's going on to larger platforms. Although most of us, at least in my opinion, he's making himself look worse and not look reputable, and like look like he's being used by Katie, to be quite honest. Like, he's not really doing anything for his platform, if that's what he is hoping to get out of it. Anyways, then what happens is Katie wasn't able to fully answer the question dealing with like Emily and deleting stuff. Then Uni asks her a harder hitting question, but it wasn't even that hard. It was just super direct, and I don't think I put the question in here, but Katie immediately gets like super flustered and like takes a big sigh of like frustration, and Uni immediately backtracked. The second he heard her like go, he immediately backtracked and was like, no, I'm not trying to say that. That's a pansy move, in my opinion. Like, don't try and be the instigator or the mediator between everybody in the chat and Katie if you can't fucking handle that position. He shouldn't be doing that. And later he entices this to encourage further, which we'll get there. We'll get there. But that really frustrated me, that he was willing to immediately backtrack because Katie got frustrated over the question. But at the same time, I mentioned here, he wanted to judge and kind of criticize Emily for not talking to Katie and give her crap for being one-sided. But Uni was allowing during this entire live stream with Katie to it only be her opinion. And we are getting into how much this came back to bite him in the ass. And we saw a lot of that happen tonight on Augie's stream, the after effects of this. So while they are on stream, Shannon from Creepshow Art got into the chat, and Katie says in a live stream on Unirock's channel, not her own channel. This next section is just super telling of Katie as a person, and how she handles and conducts herself. Keep in mind, she wants to tell us consistently YouTube is her job. So this is her acting as, to me, like, to put this in real world context, is if she were to behave this way to a coworker in an office. Because her and Creepshow Art are coworkers. Me and her technically are coworkers. We are both on the same freaking platform. So with that being said, Katie legitimately says, if Creepshow is in the audience, she needs to stop talking about me. I put in parentheses, who the fuck does Katie think she is? And Katie continues to say that she needs to stop defaming her, stop saying that she stalked her. And she also says that she sent her 2 emails and how that's not stalking. And if she continues to do this, she is going to be a part of the suit and she needs to stop. The balls. Like literally, she has bigger balls than Uni does. And she's doing this on Uni's platform. And Uni obviously did not anticipate any of this to happen. I don't think he was happy with how Katie maybe had treated Creepshow, which is why I think he was wanting to talk to her in a different sector on a different channel, because he's ruining his credibility. The fact that he allowed Katie to utilize and weaponize, because he allowed her to weaponize his platform against Shannon. He allowed Katie to threaten her to be a part of a lawsuit on his channel. And he did not say a damn thing during any of this. He tried to play the middleman, but either he's not able to, like he doesn't have it in him to tell Katie to shut up, or he didn't see any of this coming, right? I don't know which one it is. So she kind of goes on a rant for a while, and it ends up putting Uni in the middle, because it's very obvious that he doesn't want to ruin his reputation or his credibility with some other commentary channels like Shannon. His face is just like in shock, and he just kind of like stumbles around his words for a while, trying to figure out how he wants to maneuver the situation, going forward. Then while all this is going on, Uni makes the statement that he has screenshots of the targeted harassment against Katie. So they are now circling back to the targeting harassment, that he has screenshots of the targeted harassment Katie has endured, and claimed a stock account switched 2 letters in Katie's name and spammed Creepshow over a period of time. So this was Uni's way of trying to calm what Katie had ignited on his channel. Like, whoa, let's hang on. Creepshow, I don't think you're getting the full picture. I saw these sock accounts. They were the ones tweeting at you. It wasn't Katie, blah, 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 blah. Like, he was trying to de-escalate, but he does not know how to de-escalate anything. Katie continues to get upset at Shannon, and she verbatimly said something along the lines of, she's calling me a goober in chat. How fucking old are you? Seriously, how old are you? And she goes on this a couple of times, and she has continued to go on this, even in her apology video, about people calling her names. You are a grown woman. I'm not saying you deserve to be called names. I'm not saying you should be called names, but I get called names all the time, and they don't offend me. I am somebody who prides themselves on people calling me a bitch. I would prefer you to call me a bitch, because I know then that I'm being honest. I may be offending you, but I'm being true to myself. I know I can be harsh, I can be cold, I can be to the point, which most people associate with ladies being a bitch. So I will take that, and I will be very prideful of the fact that, hell yeah, I can be a bitch. I'm going to own it. Why are you letting it affect you? You are a grown woman. You are older than me, and you are allowing a term to affect you when you have an internet presence. Are you kidding me? Absolute 3rd grade mentality. Why are you going to be offended by her calling you a fucking goober? Like, she didn't even call her a bitch. Later, somebody else in the chat does, but Shannon didn't even call her a bitch. She called her a goober, and she got offended. Like, you should not have a platform then. I just mentioned again how Uni clearly doesn't know how to handle the situation. He starts like trying to kind of somewhat agree with Shannon, be like, oh, well, it might not be Shannon, it might be a troll. And then Katie obviously kind of gets upset at that comment. And then he's like, oh, well, that's not what I'm saying, Katie. Like, don't get mad at me. It's like, really? Why are you putting yourself to be this middleman between the chat and Katie? Why are you, if it's not that situation and it's that Katie put you in that position, why are you allowing that to happen? It's your channel. At the end of the day, you can tell her to fuck off. I mean, he could he not? Anyways, let's continue. Then at this point is when Uni invites Creepshow to hang. Like, he's trying to invite Creepshow to have a conversation with him, maybe not in that direct time, but at another time. Like, he's trying to make sure that he is not damaged in what Katie is doing. He is trying to kind of kiss ass to Shannon while this is going on, but he is not doing a good job because he couldn't moderate them. He very clearly is biased to Katie and can't moderate her or the chat to her. So he runs into this issue of trying to save face on both sides and like falling very short. And this was all like, he tells Creepshow, oh, well, hit me up. You know, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy. In the midst of Katie literally having a hissy fit about Creepshow and like bitching about Creepshow and trying to make Creepshow out to be something she's not. At this point in time, I have a whole paragraph here how Katie literally takes over Uni's stream and tells Creepshow to act like an adult or get out of the stream right now. She said that to Shannon. And then she continues to say that she is a bully and that she never stalked Creepshow and that Shannon needed to leave her alone. And if she doesn't, she will likely get involved with a lawsuit with her lawyer getting in touch with her. So the further context in here I have is she is claiming that Shannon is being a bully, even though we have Katie literally threatening her within the same breath. So how is Shannon the bully? Because she called you a goober? Like, seriously? But you're going to threaten her with a lawsuit. But Shannon is the one who's a bully. Okay. I don't understand at all. Don't get it at all. Then she wants to continue to say that Shannon needed to stop talking about her and all of this stuff. Uni during all of this is like so visually uncomfortable. He is in utter shock that Katie decided to utilize his platform. And I think he's a moron for not stopping her and saying, whoa, 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 take this somewhere else. But he can't keep Katie from talking. And he, as soon as all of this ends up coming to a head, and even tonight we saw on the stream he was in with Augie, on Augie's stream, he's continuing to support Katie and not even, he blatantly says he doesn't know where people's legitimate criticisms are coming from. Creepshow points out in Augie's stream tonight that one of her main issues with Katie is what Katie said about James Westbrook pulling the plug on his grandmother. And he's like, oh, I didn't know about that. Then she addresses the fact that Katie called Nick Snyder a meth head. Oh, I didn't know about that either. So you are going to sit here, and they tried to confront him about this, and he's refusing to answer it. And he's not good. He just talks in a circle. He doesn't know how to do it. But he refuses to answer at the same time. And then he gets super frustrated. He's like, oh, well, you're not letting me talk. Well, the second I get a chance to talk. And then he tries to manipulate and like flip the script and be like, oh, well, these silly streams almost down, like he's trying to dog himself to gain sympathy. But what he ends up doing is insulting everybody in that fucking live stream because they all live stream. And Augie thank God, like some people of reason were not that Creep Show doesn't have reason. She was the voice of a lot of reasons, but there were people who were just listening and like moderating on their conversation, spoke up and said, like, how are you coming to that? Like, what? It didn't make sense to them, and they addressed it. And he would just talk in a circle. He's like, well, he flat out said, you're saying we don't have little live streams, like you're giving a backhanded compliment. And what Uni was trying to do was he was trying to garner sympathy. He was trying to be like, oh, it's just bullshit what I do, it's not really that serious. But it's serious enough for you to allow another creator to threaten a lawsuit to another creator, to tell another creator to stop talking about them, to end up blocking said creator on your channel, and you did absolutely nothing about it. You look like a pansy. Like, to me, his picture, my opinion is his picture needs to be next to the word pansy in the dictionary at this point, because he obviously can't do anything other than kiss Katie's ass. And the fact that he is allegedly claiming that he doesn't know any of her problematic behavior, but he's going to continue to defend her. But then he wants to criticize smaller female creators who are legitimately providing criticism for not having receipts in their videos. Get the fuck out of here. Like, who the fuck are you? Seriously, like this I know I'm getting sidetracked, but this shit about him really pisses me off. It's so hypocritical. He is either really stupid, and I don't want to call somebody stupid, but he's really, really stupid, or he cares way too much about Katie, which is, again, is kind of crossing a weird boundary to me. Anyways, let's continue so we can get through this. We talked about that, how she threatens Shannon and calls Shannon a bully, even though Katie was obviously being the one who was a bully in that statement. And then what I kind of found was a little bit funny was Katie at the end of this rant that she directs and pinpoints at Shannon. She's like, I'm done. Like, she tries to be real stern and say that she's done. And I just found it I kind of found it a little bit humorous. We're on page 4. I kind of found it a little bit funny that she tried to like be assertive and be like, well, I'm just done. I'm done with this. I thought it was funny. And I added here this again, like at this point, I'm getting super irritated because it's the same shit. They're just viewing the same shit in a different way. And I said, don't let your botheredness show, Katie. Because she's obviously bothered, but she wants to claim she's not bothered. So I just was trying to be a sarcastic self. Anyways, Uni asks, he asks in general, not just to Katie, but to like the audience, if there's any way to build a bridge. And when he's referring to this, he didn't make himself clear for a little while, but what he ended up making clear was he was like saying that the primary issue within the commentary community is this particular situation dealing with Katie, and how it's all against Katie. Everybody is against Katie in the commentary community is what he was trying to say. And how do we bridge this to make it to where commentary channels are in like good graces with Katie, at least in like can have a conversation with her? Well, part of the problem, Uni, is Katie would have to unblock almost everybody in her block list, because myself included, she has blocked me. For what reason? I know why she did, because I commented on somebody else's tweet. She blocked me for that. I had a conversation with Katie at one point. I was a creator who was willing to hear Katie out. I really hope Uni hears this part, because this is going to really say something. I, at one point, was really giving Katie the benefit of the doubt. I had been a creator who reached out to Katie to try and get her side. And you know what? I ended up blocked because I left a comment on somebody else's tweet that was giving her shade. That to me states Katie has no ability to accept criticism. She is not willing to have creators reach out to her and have that respect. She wants it. She claims she wants it. But at the fact, like the heart of the matter, she doesn't. Because she doesn't want people to be asking her for clarifying reasons on why she did something, because that is what these commentary channels, myself included, would do. I would go to her in a DM and I would say, hey, you said this. I really don't understand. Can you provide clarification as to your reasoning with this? Either she is not going to answer me, which is fine, it's within her right, or she's going to get defensive, and it's my opinion on how she handled the situation isn't going to change. So I understand that your situation and you talking to Katie 8 months ago, she may have somehow convinced you of whatever shit, but the rest of us are not as easily fooled. And I'm not trying to call you foolish, Uni, but I am saying, like, you made it very clear in the watching you actually try and have an adult conversation with Shannon tonight. You don't know how to form your own opinion and stick to it. You seem to be very much someone who will go with the crowd. And I don't mean that to be harsh. There's leaders and there's followers in this world. We need both to be able to coexist and to, live happily. We do need both. There's nothing wrong with being a follower. There's nothing wrong with being a leader. But in what I have seen over the past few days, you are falling into the category, in my opinion, to be a follower, because you would be asked a hard-hitting question. You would say, oh, and then they would follow it up with an example, and then you're like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then they would address the fact that you flip-flop so quickly. And you're like, oh, no, I didn't say that. Well, if you guys would just let me talk. And then they'd let you talk, and you would do the same thing. And it got super frustrating for them as well as for the viewers, because you were trying to use manipulating tactics, but you just didn't know how to manipulate anything. I don't think you're a bad guy, and I think that's why you probably can't manipulate the crowd. And I don't mean that to be mean. If anything, like in real life, it's probably a very good character quality to have. But you shouldn't be putting yourself, in my opinion, Unirock should not be putting himself in these situations, because this is going to continue to happen. So let's go back to my notes so we can get through it all. So they go on to that. Then Unirock tries to claim that it's a troll at one point. I don't know what, I didn't really put on here what he was claiming was a troll. But I did ha afterwards. So apparently I thought it was super funny whenever I was listening to this. Hey, Miss Cassandra. So Uni then goes, even Uni starts to tell her to close the live chat. So at this point, he starts telling her to stop paying attention to the live chat. He's seeing that Katie is being affected by it and tells her to stop watching the live chat because she's getting defensive at what people are saying. That's not pertinent. I just made a comment here about how Katie had quickly shut down her previous 2 streams prior to her getting on his live. So he shouldn't be super surprised that she was willing to jump to be super defensive. Katie then points at Creepshow and states, how is it okay for her to use her platform to talk about Katie, but when Katie does it to someone she likes, it's defamation? Claims what Creepshow does on her channel is nasty shit, and telling her community Katie is stalking her, and Katie states Creepshow is accusing Katie of a crime by saying these things. So in this part, Katie kind of, again, circles back to targeting Creepshow in the chat and is addressing, well, how do you think it's like, she's trying to say that what Creepshow does and what Katie does is the same thing. Again, this circles back to Katie not really understanding why people are saying her statements were defamatory. She's just not understanding that for whatever reason. And then she is claiming that what Creepshow does is on her channel is disgusting, which I don't agree with. Creepshow is calling out perpetrators on this platform. More people should be willing to do that. So Katie, you have no grounds for that, in my opinion. All you do is talk about reality TV, and you claim you're not a YouTube drama channel, but you are so desperately trying to be one, in my opinion. And then she tries to she accuses Creepshow of claiming she is doing something illegal because Creepshow kept saying Katie was stalking her. And Katie is saying, well, you're accusing me of a crime, which technically she is. I'm not going to argue her on that. If Creepshow has legitimately said she's stalking me, I mean, you are accusing her of a crime. That doesn't, I mean, at the same time, though, like, we all accuse people of stuff that could be criminal behavior, but isn't at the same time. So you can deduce with that as you want. Then Uni, this part is where it gets interesting. Uni thinks it's funny that Katie blocked Creepshow from the chat. So is he supporting the fact that she's willing to silence people on his platform, especially another creator? And I think Unirock at this time was trying to claim that it could be a troll or it could be a fake account. I don't know if he really thought that. I think he tries to play ignorant a lot to try and save face from getting into trouble. So I think he knew it was her. But I like, how childish is that? And that's kind of what I put in here, is that it's super childish that she just blocked Creepshow, took her voice away, quite literally. She took Creepshow's ability, to provide her point of view in the comment section by blocking her when she wasn't doing anything but asking questions that Katie just wasn't comfortable to answer. And what Katie, in my opinion, needs to learn to do if she's going to continue to do live streams is she needs to learn to not watch the chat or not engage with the comments or questions that are going to rile her up. Then Uni says at this point in time, after she blocks Creepshow, he says, but I'm not taking sides here. But I'm going to allow a creator to silence another creator who is literally providing legitimate criticism. But he's not biased. However, he's only allowing Katie to project her side. Like, he's starting to fall into Katie category where you can't take criticism and you can't see what's actually going on here. Then Katie claims that Creepshow has been a part of the targeted harassment and doxing. And I put in big bold letters, how, prove it. These statements are why Katie is being sued for defamation, because she made the comment that Creepshow, she stated it. She didn't say it's her opinion. She stated it as a fact that Creepshow is a part of the targeting harassment and has doxed her. Unless she has legitimate proof this is happening, that is defamation. She is trying to say that Creepshow did terrible things to her without proof. So then Katie makes statements about how she's talking about this troll group that she keeps referring to, how they don't talk to her, or about all the other creators, all the other larger commentary creators, how they don't talk to her, but they are willing to mock, bully, and harass her. And she's kind of like inadvertently referring to Shannon, Creepshow, Art, and her friends, and says that it's been going on for months. So she continued to go on with this, that she was saying that the other people in this community don't talk to me, but instead they mock me and they make fun of me and they're bullying me and harassing me. I don't see, I mean, I can kind of see where maybe she feels that she is maybe being harassed just because the mass amounts of people who are talking about her right now, but that's because she's in a drama. Like, she is in a very publicized situation that everybody is going to talk about because you're a YouTube creator. This is how almost any YouTuber probably feels when they get into a drama and they have platforms and all of the drama channels talk about them. This is probably how Laura Lee, Manny MUA, Gabriel Zamora, all of these beauty influencers have felt over the Dramageddons when their names were being pulled in and talked about and, you know, being given statements about. You are experiencing what they have experienced. It's part, unfortunately, it's a part of the culture of having a large platform. It really is. It's sad, but she should be aware of that. So I found that that was a little bit childish, in my opinion. Katie goes on to say she has done nothing, nor has she said anything to these people. This is her just complaining that they won't talk to her, which is super childish. Like, who cares? Who cares if the other people are talking to you? Not to mention, like, she's kind of put herself in, she wants to say she's not a YouTube drama commentary channel, that she covers reality TV, but she's expecting these YouTubers who cover YouTube drama to talk to her. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, you can't have all of these different arguments. It just doesn't make sense. They don't go together. Uni then starts to say, after Creepshow's been blocked, that he feels that she has been instigating some of the hate or harassment, what Katie is saying, because Creepshow has been vocal on her social media platforms about her experiences with Katie and information she has found or been given. So I mean, I don't know. I think that kind of ends up being an opinion thing. But I don't see how she was really instigating, but I can kind of see the argument of people saying she was, right? Then he tries again to convince Creepshow to approach him, maybe not on the stream, but outside of the stream. That continues for a while. Then Katie says Creepshow, Dustin, and Nick are trying to ruin her career. That they, and I put here that they didn't hardly talk about her until the lawsuit. So how is she saying that they were trying to ruin her career when they really haven't discussed Katie publicly until the lawsuits happened? If they were trying to ruin her career, wouldn't they talk about her and like try to provide more negative information than what they have? I really didn't understand, other than her trying to, you know, continue to push that they're coming after her. I didn't understand why she was saying these things. Then she continues to say that they're all violating civil law by harming another creator's business. And I put, but when you talked about Tati, you didn't. So again, there's hypocrisy here. And it goes against the logic that she was trying to say, which multiple people continue to call her out for her hypocrisy. Uni then asks what instigates Creepshow coming into the chat. Like, he's trying to rhetorically ask, why would Creepshow come into his chat on his smaller channel? That he thinks that something was tipped off. I mean, everybody knows it. One of the points I have in this that I kind of want to mention is he does talk about how Creepshow came onto his smaller channel and how he found that interesting. He states he intentionally went on his smaller channel rather than his larger channel because he wanted to prevent giant things from happening. So what I took from that statement is that he wanted to not have this as publicized from him. He didn't want as many people knowing of his followers who maybe follow his larger channel and not his smaller channel of what was going on. I don't know. I could be reading too much into it, but that's kind of what I took of it. Then another content creator, Loey, I believe her name is, comes into the chat and he says, she's like kind of, I think, again, I couldn't see the chat. So what I'm assuming is happening is she was questioning why Creepshow was kicked or something like that. And Uni's argument was he's a third party and it's his channel, which is why I don't know in what context that was. But what I was saying here was like, is it his channel? Because it really seemed like it was Katie's channel, because Katie was the one who was running the whole stream pretty much. He wasn't providing any questions or getting any clarification to anyone in the chat. Instead, he was allowing Katie to kind of yell at Shannon, to block Shannon and silence Shannon from her opinion and get answers to questions that people have. Uni again starts to tell Katie not to look at the chat because she starts to get worked up. Every time she starts to get overly worked up, he's noticing it and he's like, hey, stop looking at the chat. She gets defensive when he says that and says people are saying how many videos she's made on Tati, and her comebacks, for lack of better term, is that Dustin and Nick have done 50 plus videos on James Charles, and then says that they could be sued by James Charles. So the thing here that frustrates me, or that kind of like rubs me, is Nick and Dustin and other creators all kind of, myself with this situation, I have continued to cover the situation. That is what Nick and Dustin do. They're drama channels. So anytime they cover a drama or a person, if that person finds themselves in drama again, they are going to be thought of as a hypocrite if they don't talk about it. We have seen that happen when they haven't discussed stuff with Jeffree Star or with Tati. When all of this shit was going down, people were calling out some of these drama channels for not talking about it quick enough. So I really can't say that I get to them. And, you know, that's really not an argument for anybody who was trying to say that she was. The issue with multiple videos on the same creator that I personally have is when there's nothing new happening, and when you're just providing the same commentary over and over, and you're not providing new commentary, you're not addressing a new issue, you're not trying to bring different conversations, when it's literally the same thing over and over and over on the same creator, then I think that, yeah, that's kind of crappy. But everybody knows that Dustin and Nick, that's not the content that they're pumping out. And I'm not saying that's the content she was pumping out either. I don't know, because half of those videos are privated, so I can't watch them. Then the next part is that Katie says she knows that she's being defensive, that all she wants to do is her job and to be left alone. And my comment here is then that she needs to stop feeding into the drama by going on all these rants and allowing people to entice her and talk about it. I have said this in almost every live since she's kind of gone down and like continued to dig herself deeper, is that she really just needs to stop talking about it. She needs to stop going live, because that's where a lot of this is instigated from, is when she engages in her own live streams or other people's live streams. She just gets too defensive, which I can understand. I get super defensive of myself and people I care about. But it's getting to a point where with her, it's almost irrational. She only sees her way. She really isn't able to have any self-awareness about the situation and step back and see somebody else's question or perspective. She's on the defense. Her guard is up consistently, which is why she's nasty to people. So let's see what goes on from here. And then she says to the people in the chat to stop calling her names like bitch. And I said earlier that this was brought up. She gets upset that people are calling her a bitch. I already went through my little talk about how I feel about that word, so we won't address it again. Then Charlie Gold comes into the chat, and she says that she'd be willing to talk to them. So that's kind of going on in the background. Katie says what Dustin did to her is making him a part of the lawsuit because of the video he made is evidence of her lawsuit and Nick Snyder's. She makes this claim. So here, yet again, she is threatening two other creators that they are going to be a part of this lawsuit or her countersuit because of their videos. However, in both of their videos, it is very clear that they are providing their opinion when they're providing their opinion. So I don't see, other than the fact that Nick said he has talked to Tati, the context he provided that he had talked to Tati isn't enough really to provide any defamation to Katie. Not from what I had seen anyways. Then my next point is, I've already talked about that. She gets upset that people may have the perception of her that she's a bad person. And I noticed Uni was doing a lot of that tonight too. Constantly saying, but I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. Yeah, I've seen people quote, tweet, and even say in my comment sections that she's a bad person, but they typically explain why. And do I really think that those people at the end of the day really think like genuinely her person is bad? No, I think they just disagree with her and how she conducts herself, and they have a negative look on her. So what people are going to do online to express those feelings is say you're a bad person. Why are they, both of these creators who both have larger platforms than I do, getting so upset that people are saying you're a bad person? Then Uni continues to kind of encourage Katie and say that Katie is experiencing an extreme level of targeted harassment. In the live stream he was on with Shannon and on Augie's channel tonight, it was very clear that he continued to try and say he hasn't researched Katie at all. The only research and information he has is to show of this targeted harassment. So why are you criticizing every other commentary channel who is giving Katie a hard time if you are legitimately saying you didn't know of these issues? You are taking the credibility out from underneath you as you are speaking. Katie says, and I quoted this, all she is asking from other creators is to please stop. That was a quote from her. She was, and the way that it was, the context it was in was, please stop talking about me. Why? Because it's hurting your feelings, because you don't like what people are saying. You open yourself up to that ability when you become a creator. And although she says she doesn't watch other creators' channels, I think it's evident at this point she does, and she is enticing, she's enticing that in herself. I refuse to watch any videos about myself unless it's sent to me and somebody says it's sent to me by a subscriber, and I ask, what is the context of this? Because if somebody is just trying to tear me apart, not that there's very many videos like that, but I've had people make videos on me, only a couple. And if they're nasty, I'm not going to watch them, because at one point I did watch, when I went through my drama, I did go and watch those live streams that aren't, as far as I know, aren't accessible anymore, which is fine. That the point is null and void. But what I'm saying is I watched those in real time, and it was very hurtful to see some people that I knew were subscribed to my channel saying some things about me that I didn't know they felt, and it was a little bit hurtful. But more than anything, I got super mad, and I was like, you're just, in my opinion, how everything was being said, it was being spun in a way that wasn't true. Lies were being told, and people were believing it because some of those subscribers didn't know who I was and just jumped on the bandwagon. I was like, well, what the fuck? This is super shitty to have happened to you. So since I have experienced that, I refuse to watch any video about me unless it's sent to me and I know it's not. If somebody's providing me criticism, that's fine. But if somebody's trying to lie or twist something or just be disgusting, it's not worth my time because I know I'm going to want to defend myself. I know I'm going to want to get on my platform, and I know I haven't really shown it on here. I can have a disgusting attitude. I can be a super nasty person. We all have that ability. We all do. I don't want to portray that on my platform, and I hope I can always maintain some level of calmness to me, even when I've gone off on some rants at times. I've said things here or there that I wish I wouldn't have said, but I'm not going to retract because that's how I felt. I'm human. But if those things are ever brought to my attention or somebody addresses it with me, I will acknowledge that, yeah, I don't think that was the best thing for me to say. Do I think it's worth every time I misspeak and after the fact realize I disagree with my statement? I'm not going to every time get on video and say, oh, so I made this statement, guys, and you might not be offended by it, might not affect you at all, but you know, I don't like how it came off. I would be doing that like once a week because we're human. We make mistakes. We say things we don't mean to. I've said the R word before, for example, and I've had to apologize for that, which I understand. I should apologize for that. I shouldn't have said that word, especially in the context I did. But, you know, we're human. Mistakes are going to happen, but it only goes so far, right? Anyways, so then Katie starts talking about how she wants creators to talk to her and have conversations. She gets upset that her side hasn't been heard and that it's been super unfair, which is fine. If she wants to feel that it's been unfair because nobody is like jumping to her defense, I can see where she probably feels it's unfair because nobody is listening to her side. However, it's hard to listen to her side because there is so much evidence out there. There's so many screenshots. There's so many video clips of what is being alleged in this lawsuit by her. There's literal proof that people can tangibly see. So it is hard for people just to take it by word of mouth from you because you kind of look like a liar because you're saying, no, I didn't say that, but they are 2 seconds later watching a clip where you literally say that. So you're kind of discrediting yourself, in my opinion. Like, that's a lot of what's going on with everything. It's not unfair to her. Someone comments that Creepshow's video on Katie is on her Patreon, and Uni says, what does that have to do with anything, though? This pointed to me the fact that Unirock is very, very biased because he's trying to say, like, everybody come here, everybody use me as a moderator, everybody ask questions, I will siphon them through to Katie, and then I will manage everything. But when another creator makes a video with their opinions and criticisms of Katie, why does that matter? Like, that, you're being biased. If you can't address it or at least acknowledge to everybody, oh, hey, Creepshow made her video, it's on Patreon if you're a patron of hers. Otherwise, you know, look at her socials. Or why even read that comment then? If you don't want to address it, why read it? So, where are we at? Katie continues to say that videos that are being made against her are defamatory and are mocking her. It's a very common theme throughout this entire live stream that they do together. Katie continues to say she's never spoken to anybody, and I think it's kind of like childish, the fact that she continues to bring up, well, they've never talked to me. Who the fuck cares? Like, since when is it like, oh, you're going to make a video on, I'm going to make a video on Jeffree Star. So I have to talk to Jeffree Star before I make that video. That is the logic that they are trying to push, which is not going to happen. Even if I did message Jeffree Star, there is like a 0.00001% chance he's going to respond to me. we cannot start running with this logic that we have to talk to every, as commentary channels, that we have to talk to every creator we want to provide criticism on or provide our opinions on. It's just not, it's not feasible. I don't have contacts to talk to hardly any creators. So I know people I have talked about would never DM me back. And again, this is going to roll back. I have been a creator who has given Katie the respect to reach out to her prior to a video. The conversation I had with her was not good or bad. It was very neutral. She really didn't provide me any information as to what I was asking and letting her know. And then we moved on, and then she blocked me. So I have continued to talk about her, but I haven't even had the ability to ask her her opinion or her take or why she said or did certain things because she blocked me. So, I mean, like, that's null and void. If you're going to be blocking everybody, you can't expect people to come and ask you if they can talk about you or get your statement or whatever. Like, it's just, it makes no sense. Katie says Katie can mock Tati. And so Unirock at one point says that it's okay for Katie to be mocking Tati and Nick, but that they can't mock her because they did it first. Now, if that's not like some third grade, like picking on each other, I don't know what is. Also, my question here was, how did Tati pick on Katie first? By sending her cease and desist behind the scenes, not in the public eye, 4 times, as Katie has told us. So, no. Katie says that I put here, Katie says she can't take accountability. So I'm not sure what that was in reference to. There's not any other notes in addition to that. Katie says that no one knows what's going on behind the scenes, which is true. We don't know. So she needs to take that into account when people are providing our opinions and things like that. We are only getting one side of the story, and we're reporting on that one side of the story until the second side of the story comes out. Then we will also report on that. I think Katie's convinced that none of us are going to continue reporting on this or giving our opinion. I'm not a reporter, or giving our opinion on this once her countersuit comes out. And I think she's going to be, like, obviously mistaken. Almost everybody who's talked about it at this point, when those documents become available, we are going to be more than willing to also address Katie's side, right? Like, that's what Emily D. Baker did with the partner lawsuit. We got the first part where the partner filed the suit, and then there was the document that has not yet been filed but has been drawn up by the attorneys in response to that. So again, Katie is trying to put, Katie and Uni here, we're trying to push that Emily is being biased, but Emily is, she's reporting whatever information she's given. Katie said Shannon need to come. So then Katie starts to, like, grow a pair again out of nowhere and starts saying that Shannon need to come. She wanted to go ahead and talk to Shannon, and that Shannon needed to get in the Discord, and that she needed to talk to her woman to woman if she wanted to know and have a conversation with her in Discord. Katie continued the argument that there's targeted harassment campaign for 18 months against her. Uni continually, whenever this is brought up, says, yes, there is. I have documented evidence of this. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's what he's always done, I feel like. Katie states that she has 0 issues with people who criticize her. I don't agree with that. I think she has issues with people who criticize her, because almost everybody who has talked about her or this situation are providing legitimate criticisms, but she's calling them troll accounts. Just because somebody criticizes you or has an opposing opinion of yours does not mean that they're trolls. Someone states to Uni that he's enabling Katie, and he visibly gets upset about this and like kind of goes off on saying how he's not enabling her. How is he enabling her? That, you know, the whole commentary kind of siding with her, and that the whole commentary channel is against Katie. They go on that for a brief second. And then he starts saying that when he was initially like giving Katie criticism, that he was able to have a conversation with her because people were giving him information and like giving him screenshots, and he wanted to get to the bottom of it. So he went to Katie and had this conversation 8 months ago. He kind of contradicted himself when this was brought up throughout this live stream. At times he said that he contacted Katie or that Katie contacted him. So I don't know which one it is. It's really just water under the bridge. I don't think it really matters, but I did want to mention that. It is mentioned that like some of her ex-subscribers follow her around, and that they have kind of like joined this hate group, and they talk about the Facebook group and how the Facebook group doxed her. And she talks about how these trolls have incited police to be called, people calling the hospital where her son was at. Her neighbors have been called, her husband's employers, and that 40 death threats were left on a voicemail of her husband's friend's work. I'm going to say here, I honestly don't doubt that these things are happening. Do I think who she is trying to claim has done these things, did them? No, I don't. I know for a fact she called Little Red out, and she said that Little Red did these things. I have been watching Little Red's channel since she only had a couple hundred subscribers, and I try to get in every live. Obviously, I don't make every single one. I can't stay for every single one, but the ones that I have seen, I haven't really seen her. I was not a subscriber whenever she did dox her, and she's acknowledged that and she's apologized for that. I wasn't there for that, but I've never witnessed Red to call or to harass. I don't see Red as the kind of person to do any of these things. I 100% agree that somebody is, and I'm sure it's multiple people who are. These are things that large influencers deal with daily. Look at James Charles, look at like the Hype House and Logan Paul and all of these people who have legitimately shown outside of their houses nothing but slews of their supporters and fans outside their houses. But you want to claim all of this stuff and pinpoint it on just a few people? Unless you have evidence that it was these individuals, I would really, really like hope that you won't continue to say that these people, calling Little Red, calling I'm fucking raking out, and all of them, unless you have legitimate screenshots, it's not in anybody's interest to say that they're doing things if they aren't. Again, if you don't have proof of this happening, you are defaming them, which again circles back to the original issue of why you are in this lawsuit to begin with. That is just from what I'm observing, but I genuinely respect Little Red. I've never seen any issue with her content. I know there's concerns with how she handled the police reports. I've addressed that. I can see both sides. Yeah, Miss Cassandra, I've talked to Little Red. Little Red and I do DM occasionally. So when all this shit started going down with Katie, I got a DM from her that Katie was lying on her. So that's how I even became aware that Katie did this apology videos, because Little Red DM'd me and let me know that this was going on because she knew I was at work. So yeah, let's continue so we can get done with this. We're still have several pages and I would like to get off of this in like 30 minutes if possible. It is almost midnight here and I have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I talked about, we went over that. So someone in the chat made a comment and said that the reason they unsubscribed from Katie was how she hyper-focused on Micah Stauffer. Uni states, then why continue to criticize Katie if Katie's behaviors have been perfect since? My added part was, which isn't true. So she did hyper-focus on Micah. A lot of us have. I don't really think that that was the point the subscriber was trying to get at, or the ex-sub was trying to get at. I think they were trying to get at the fact that Katie hyper-focuses on a lot of things. She hyper-focuses on whatever is hitting the algorithm, which if that's how you want to run your YouTube channel, fine, then run it that way, but own it. Like at least own the fact that that's what you're doing. But there is a pattern of behavior which Uni continues to not address. Like it wasn't just the Micah stuff. After the Micah stuff, here, I wrote out a few of them. After the Micah cases, after everybody talked about Micah, what happened next? Sanders Kennedy and the Shane Dawson drama happened, right? After that, what happened? The BX drama with her happened. After that happened, what was next? The Sophie Long case, which enticed so many dramas to come off of that. Her Critical K drama, which somehow brought Leslie Bass into it briefly. And then they claimed like Katie was trying to make it seem that they were best friends, to the point that Leslie had to address, hey, we're not best friends. We're just on good terms again. And I did see that Leslie has put out a video. I have not watched it. I hope to watch it so the next time I go live and we just talk about drama stuff like this, I'm up to speed on everybody's videos. But there are so many that it's hard for me to keep up while I'm at work. So from that, and my point in all that was that Uni really wasn't understanding what the subscriber was trying to bring to light. Katie responds to that and says that the Dad Challenge podcast continues to do videos on Micah, but she, in my opinion, again, was that she missed the mark. She missed the reason on what the subscriber was trying to say to them, that it was the pattern of Katie's behavior of digging too much into stuff and like making a bigger deal out of things at times than what they were. And she was also like inadvertently potentially bringing Josh into all this drama, which would not fare well for her. I don't think he wants to be involved or discuss any of this at all. Katie gets caught up, and they stated she got caught up on the fact that they stated she hyper-focused on Micah. She was unable to see the legitimate criticism in that comment. Katie then starts talking about how her and Uni are legitimate friends, which I don't understand how that's super pertinent. It's pretty evident that they are friends. People started to, I'm assuming, flood the chat about why Creepshow was blocked. And Uni kind of got defensive and was like, whoa, 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 I'm just a third party here. Don't hate me. But it's your channel. It was his channel that he allowed these things to happen and not fix. Uni tried to attempt to fix things, which we talked about earlier. He circled back to try and address it and say anybody can come on here, which is just, he couldn't handle what position he's put himself in. Katie then states her channel's not a YouTube channel and that it never a YouTube drama channel and that it never has been, even though she will cover YouTube drama whenever it's convenient for her and her bank account. And then she follows that up with the second comment that she's not a surface level drama channel. So, which is it? Are you a drama channel or are you not a drama channel? Uni gets upset that people continue to call him biased and start saying that I don't know you, you don't know me. But he thinks there is an issue with the situation around Katie and other creators. He thinks it's a group of people convincing other creators of this fake narrative of Katie. So he starts trying to say that he thinks this small amount of hate group or troll group has gotten to a few creators who are then spreading the same falsities that he disbelieves about Katie. However, the things that people have criticizing Katie are things that Creepshow Art was talking about in the stream with Augie tonight, which he very clearly stated he didn't know any information about, and that if Katie was actually participating and making statements like that, he completely agreed that she was in the wrong. So, I mean, I can't understand. Like, I really want to know, are these his legitimate thoughts? Like, does he really not look into Katie aside from the troll stuff? But if he was monitoring what he is claiming and what she is stating are the trolls, then they have provided screenshot proof of all of this stuff that is being alleged right now. So he's not doing a very good job at researching what he's planning on talking about and exposing continually if he hasn't seen these screenshot evidence of all of this stuff. So he gets upset about that. He continues to say he's not biased. He then states, I know Creepshow isn't a bully. And then he immediately rewords what he said and said, well, I think she's not a bully. And I don't know if he's doing that to appease Katie. Like, he said something and he's afraid he's going to piss her off, or like there's going to be a confrontation over that he said that with Katie. And so he's retracting it and like lessening the blow of his opinion, which again, that's very pansy behavior. And you shouldn't be putting yourself in a situation to like be the moderator of a conversation if you can't handle that conversation or that creator that you're trying to handle the conversation for. Katie kind of talks about how she doesn't want to fight and she wants to coexist, which kind of contradicts what she's been saying all night. Smoky Glow for some reason is brought up, and he's like, oh, I like Smoky Glow. I like Smoky. I like Smoky. Well, what I find ironic about that is Smoky Glow Hannah had tweeted yesterday, maybe, or the day before, that she is aware of what's going on with this Tati stuff, but she hasn't been able to talk about it and that she's looking into it. So not really retracting what she said, but kind of in a way. Kind of saying, hey, I acknowledge all of you guys reaching out to me with all of these concerns, covering what I have said. I understand that I maybe provided some misinformation. I will be readdressing it. Something along those lines. It's on Twitter. If you're interested, you can look there. So I found that funny that obviously neither one of them follow Hannah, or else they would have known that she put out that like 3-tweet statement a day or two ago. Anyways, moving on. Uni goes to the bathroom and asks Katie if she wants to cover the chat while he's gone, or if she wants him to mute her. And she said that she'll cover the chat while he's gone. And the whole time, all she did was look for comments of people supporting her, I'm assuming, because each time she was like, oh, thank you, to the few people who were maybe giving her positive feedback. At this point in the chat, she seemed like, I'm not going to jump to assumptions here, but she sounded very tired. Like, her voice to me sounded like she was very tired at this point in the chat. It comes back to like how she typically talks. So I don't know if maybe she was hitting a moment of like sleepiness and that's what was going on. I don't know, but I did note that here. Katie mentions that the business partner's lawsuit against Tati doesn't even mention her. So she makes this claim. However, this is a question I have for you guys, because as I recall, when she made the first video, like breaking the story of the lawsuit, and there's the part in that lawsuit where it talks about how the business partner found out about James, or whoever, talks about how they found out some information from online. Did she not insinuate that she was the reason that information was found? I could almost promise that I thought she insinuated in that first video that when the business partner said that she was trying to allude to her audience that that online source was her. I don't know if she actually said it. I can't remember if she actually said it, but I could have sworn she had alluded at least to the fact that this online source mentioned in the business partner's suit against Tati was like low-key crediting her. But now that it's not going in the way that she thought it would, and she's not getting recognized in the way she thought she would, and she has now been sued herself, she is saying that it didn't mention her. So I don't know if I'm right about that. I may just be thinking, making that scenario up in my mind. When you're telling stories and you're trying to, be unbiased, like I try my best to be, and provide both sides and like see it from maybe all points. I play those scenarios out in my head and with you guys. So I can't remember if that was exactly said or if I'm just thinking that maybe it was. So then Uni kind of goes off on a small tangent that if you're a creator, to not treat him bad because we don't like Katie, but to give him a chance, which is just laughable. I mean, at this point, he has spent, I don't even know at what timestamp I was at in this live stream, but it was super laughable that, oh, I'm just going to continue to give her my platform as well as her own to push her narrative, but not let the other side speak, even though I'm claiming that's what I'm allowing happen. I'm not going to let that happen. And for the creators that I am silencing because Katie won't allow you to speak on my platform, please don't hate me. Please still like me. Please still give me a chance. Again, this is like high school shit. I can't handle people who are like this in real life. I don't handle drama well in my personal life because I just go to the source, I address it, and if they're willing to like move past it, then fine. If they're not, okay, cool. We can go our separate ways. Then he says he doesn't agree and then takes a super long pause and allows Katie to explain why she allegedly pulled backgrounds on celebrities' families. So what had happened was there was a question that somebody asked Uni directly. Do you agree with the fact that Katie has pulled criminal histories on people who were family members of the celebrity, but not the celebrity? And Uni says, no, I don't. And then pauses and says, oh, well, I'm going to let Katie explain herself, and then maybe we'll see. And then Katie says, well, I can't talk about it. And then Uni says, he hesitates briefly and provides that he doesn't think that you should be pulling backgrounds on family members. Katie then starts talking about how she's circling back. She's talking about how she came from the written world, which is different according to her. She says she never did anything with the info, but she mentions what she said was in YouTube Mama Drama and Guru Gossip or Gossip Guru, whatever it's called. I don't know that. So I don't go to these websites. I don't use Facebook in this way. I don't use subreddit. I don't use any of that. I literally come on my platform and I watch other videos. I occasionally will scroll through Twitter and Instagram. But like she says that her information, she contradicts herself now from earlier, that she didn't have a lot of information, that she went to these other sites like ancestry.com. But then here she's saying, oh no, I got it from YouTube Mama Drama and the Guru Gossip channel. So she's trying to say like what she did was okay because of where she got the information. I mean, if you were in the writing world, isn't there a thing as making sure your sources are credible? I'm not trying to like say that those two websites aren't credible. I don't know. I don't frequent them. I have heard both positive and negative things about both of those websites. So are they credible? If they're credible, then why didn't you source them? And if they're not credible, then you look like an idiot. I mean, really, especially if you're trying to say you come from the written world, but you're going to use an unreliable source. I don't know which one to believe. Where did she get the information? Or did she use all of those websites and then some extras that she hasn't told us? Yeah, then I say how he says it. He says he doesn't agree with it, but then he tries to validate what Katie was trying to say. So he's saying, well, yeah, I agree. It's not a good idea. And you shouldn't be pulling people's backgrounds. But Katie was coming from the written world and was only doing YouTube part-time. So that makes it okay that she made this mistake. How? Like, that's what I was getting from what he was saying. And like, my question is how? How are you making that correlation? Then she talks about how the way that she handles herself and her content now is different than how she used to. Uni tries to provide some clarification and asks, so you wouldn't do that now? And Katie said, well, no, like no in the sense of, yeah, I would do it again. But then she kind of backtracks and say, I don't know. So she answers it and then retracts her answer and answers it in a different way. This was just my own opinion that I put in here. This thought just must have popped in my head when I was taking these notes was, why does Katie need to go on a different, why does Katie need a channel to go to for the community to address their problems with her on someone else's channel? Is he plugging himself? Is he aware Katie can't handle it herself? Why would this be necessary, especially to do on a regular basis? So this was a loaded thought process. So what had happened was Uni said, well, I would like to maybe build a platform or a space where I can bring other creators or other people on. He's enticing to be a mediator between himself, not himself, between Katie and other creators and like the viewers who have questions, and that he wanted to be the moderator for that and thinks that it should be an every few week or a monthly thing. Katie says that she would be okay with that. Why? Not why would she be okay with that, but why is it necessary? She's already going to another creator for further support to push her side, even though he tries to claim he's not biased. He clearly is biased, and he has clearly only shown that in every time he has talked about this scenario. But in addition to that, why does he think making another channel where people can just ask Katie the hard-hitting questions? Like, I don't understand why this is a thing. Like, why is he thinking that this should happen? Katie is an adult. If she can't handle the criticism on her own channel and you're willing to open up your own channel, why is there a need for another channel? Not to mention, I really don't think Unirock is equipped to be the moderator. He proved that in this live stream that he cannot handle that position. He cares too much what people think, what people say about him. He gets too engaged in the chat when he tries to address the chat. I mean, there's just too many issues. And obviously, like, Unirock doesn't know how to have confrontation, it seems, because tonight on Augie's channel, him and Shannon were talking and like trying to debate everything out. And it was very evident that he does not know how to have a legitimate debate. It's more of, oh, well, here's my opinion, my statement. Oh, they provide their counter argument, and he just subcedes to them. And it's like, oh, no, you're right, you're right, you're right. Well, no, this is my opinion. And then it just continues and the cycle goes in a circle. And part of that is a manipulation tactic to try and confuse the person you are in a debate with or the people who are listening. And I don't know if that was his intention, but that was definitely the behaviors happening. And if it wasn't his intention, then that's even kind of more concerning to me, in my opinion. So let's continue. We are almost done with the notes that I have. Another creator came in and I don't know anything about him. His name was Nicholas Diario. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm not sure what genre he falls into on YouTube, but he was mentioned and he's a creator. The second he popped into the chat, Katie's first words were, "I don't like him." So guys, let's get this straight. Katie wants to say Shannon is bullying her while Katie legitimately is threatening her with a lawsuit. Then another and she ends up blocking Shannon from having her opinion and being able to talk about things. And then another creator comes in and Katie's immediate response is, "I don't like him." But everybody else is the bully. Everybody else is the troll. Can Unirock really not see this happening in front of him on his own platform? He has allowed her to discredit him on his own channel, and he didn't say a dang thing about it. And he still hasn't. I didn't catch the whole Augie stream, so it is very possible that this was addressed and I missed it. And if that's the case, then I will retract that statement if he apologizes and like has addressed that with Shannon. But the way that he allowed Katie to run his channel it speaks a lot to his character. It shows that he is not one to really be able to stand up for himself from what I have seen. And that, like I said earlier, that's not necessarily a dig at him. It is what it is. Let's see, where was I at? She says that comment about the other creator that she doesn't like him. Then Katie says, creators need to remember they are only hearing one side and that she is countersuing. She then states that she is suing Tati Westbrook, James Westbrook, and Michael Saltz. So then she openly says, well, these are the people I'm suing, and it doesn't include all of these other creators that she has continued to threaten and allege that she was going to sue and make a part of these claims. So, like, does she not understand why people don't take her seriously? Because she spews all this stuff, tries to negate what is being provided as evidence without her own evidence or supporting her claims. Then she threatens everybody and says, I'm going to sue you if you don't stop, and they don't stop, and then she doesn't follow through. Like, you're losing credibility when you say things like that. Either hold to your word or shut up. Like, stop threatening people. Then Katie starts talking about her issues with people, that they are reading allegations and that people are taking them as fact. With this, I can agree with her. I think some people have read or have seen that lawsuit and don't understand that they are just allegations at this point, that it has to be proven in court before it's a legitimate, like, decided that this was happening or not. I do think that there is people who maybe aren't understanding of that. That is kind of at that person's will to kind of figure that out. However, I don't know if she was like trying to low-key shade Emily D. Baker, but if that's the case, Emily very clearly in all of her videos talking about these lawsuits state that these are allegations. They are just alleged until court happens and more motions and things like that occur. It is just an allegation. So I really don't know what her point with that was, other than to just make a statement to be sure people are aware. hey, this is allegations. They're not facts. So I can kind of see where she is getting upset with that. I was wondering, this live stream was 6 hours long, and obviously I'm assuming Katie hangs on to the very end with Charlie, and I did not catch that part of the stream. And I'm not sure if I totally caught the very beginning for when Katie came in. I'm pretty sure I did, but that would be a long time online. And at one point, he says, I know it's 1 a.m. Before Charlie Gold even happens, he says, I know it's 1 a.m. Can you hang out, like talking to Katie? And she said, yeah, that's fine. She has told her audience before that she is online for about 10 hours. And I'm just making a statement from an observation here. She had been on Instagram Live. Then she went on YouTube Live for about 1.5 to 2 hours on her own channel. I can't remember the time frame exactly. Then right after that, she went on this extremely long live, which apparently went up into at least 1 o'clock in the morning, and probably obviously well after that. That's like at least 4 hours that she was live streaming that evening. And I get that it's a long, like it may have been late at night and her child was probably already in bed. I'm not trying to say anything to her parenting in that statement, but like, you had been working all day, like filming videos and editing your videos and uploading your videos. And then you're just like, where are you sleeping? How are you able to function? Like it starts to make me wonder, and this is just me speculating, if some of her antics that are off the wall, if it's because she's sleep deprived, if she's making some of these statements because she's deprived of sleep. And if you get deprived of sleep, it can mimic some serious conditions. It's just an observation. I'm not saying that that's what's going on. It's just something that I've noticed and I'm kind of curious about. Anyways, moving on. Katie talks about a channel posting about her and her personal things and her son, and she says that that is different. So I think at this point she was referring to Little Red, but she didn't call out Little Red in this video. I don't think Little Red really has ever posted anything about her son. The personal thing, I've already given my opinion about the law enforcement report and everything. I'm not going to dive back into that, especially not right now. If you want to know my opinions on that, there's a live stream. You can go find it on my channel. But I can see where she's upset about that. But she is trying to claim that what she has done is different from what people talking about her police reports. It's not different. The only thing that makes it different is the style of reporting and commentary that comes from those documents. People who have discussed any document pertaining to Katie has shown the document and read it word for word and then provided their commentary. Katie half the time provides the document. It's not the full document that she provides. It's little like sections that she cuts out, and then she doesn't leave it on her screen for a very long time. She doesn't talk through it with her subscribers. She pops it on screen, gives her opinions as facts, and then moves on. There is a pretty significant difference there. And then she wants to go on, and Uni says he wants to reduce the amount of insanity and reduce the issues. And every time he addresses issues, he clarifies he's talking about Katie and the rest of the commentary community. Katie gets frustrated again and sighs and groans that people don't believe her and what she is saying. Again, I've kind of provided in this whole stream why it is my opinion people don't believe her, and why what she could do to remedy that. And I have acknowledged the fact that I understand, given the fact that she is currently being sued, she may not be able to do some of these things right now. But until those things can be done, unfortunately, she's going to continue to deal with this as long as she continues to engage in it. She can very easily disengage. She is choosing not to. Katie continues to say that she's been trying for 18 months to make her channel a happy place, which I don't know if that's true. Nobody does but her. She feels that she's constantly under attack. Again, once you get to a large enough fan base, if you are feeding into the negativity, into people kind of giving you a hard time, you're going to feel that you're constantly attacked. At some point, once you get to a certain degree on YouTube or any large platform, I think you have to disconnect from some of your audience. And I'm not saying the people like who are in my chat tonight or who are in my chats regularly. I'm not meaning people who are engaging in like providing context. I mean people who are coming to literally troll, because there are those people. I don't think they're the people she's claiming that are being her trolls, in my opinion. But you get what I'm saying? Like, you kind of come to a point where you have to be able to not acknowledge what people are trolling you for, and like saying you're ugly or giving you a hard time about how you say something. Like, you have to let those comments just roll off at some point. She kind of mentions how she's heard people are always calling her the victim. And in this statement, I'm pretty sure she was trying to validate that she is always the victim. And the fact that she has this troll group, her phone number has been linked to the point she had to get a new phone, people contacting hospitals and etc., that, you know, she has been the victim. Again, I agree that people are probably doing these things. They are absolutely disgusting. And if I ever found out anybody in my chats or who have engaged in my content did things like this, I would boot you from my channel, because that's disgusting. No one, I mean, Katie's kind of right in the sentiment that you are going just as far as what we are criticizing her for. You can't contact a hospital that her son is at. Like, that's just so invasive and really none of our business. Yeah, she may be willing to put it on the internet, but that's dealing with a fucking minor, and you need anybody who's willing to do that. Like, you really need to contemplate what you're doing with yourself, because that's not appropriate in any level. Calling her and stuff like that, yeah, it's weird, but again, with every larger creator, they are constantly getting their phone numbers leaked. They are constantly having their addresses leaked and having like heaps of fans outside of their house and having to navigate that. So like, I get that she maybe just isn't ready to deal with the hard parts of being a larger influencer. And if she can't handle it, then maybe she needs to not have a platform on YouTube. Maybe she needs to take her audience to a different space where she can, you know, foster her community more and monitor it more. If that's what she needs to feel safe, then that's what she needs to do. We talked about all of that stuff. She starts again talking about the trolls, and the trolls being the ones who are enticing all of these larger creators to not like her. Katie starts to get a little bit offended again, and Uni tells her that she needs to stop paying attention to the chat. Excuse me. Uni mentions Tipster and says that Tipster never ignores him. I don't know why I made a comment of that. It was just in here. Night, Nick and Steph. I'm almost done. We're literally on the last half page. Some of this I've already talked about. Katie all of a sudden goes on a banning campaign and like banning a whole bunch of people from Unirock's channel, including a user called Busy's girlfriend or something like that, which I guess is a longtime dedicated supporter of his. And Unirock about poops his pants, and he's like, "Whoa, Katie, stop going on a banning rampage." And it's like, why are you letting her moderate? I understand, like, I don't understand, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he wants to allow her to moderate his channel. That's within his rights. However, when he is having conversations with her as being a guest on the channel, and like it's in a scenario like it was last night where it was a question, people having the opportunity to ask Katie these questions, these hard-hitting questions, allegedly. I mean, none of that actually ended up coming through. But what I'm saying is, like, that was the sense of the live. He should unmod her for those. That way she doesn't have the ability to silence people. She doesn't have the ability to block people while conversations are being had. Like, that is just common sense, in my opinion. He's asking for the conversation in the chat to be biased. If she's able to delete and block people, you know, again, you're kind of losing credibility for yourself, because people are watching this happen. Some people in real time, like 300 and some people watched all of this happen in real time. Then Charlie says that she's going to come on, and he kind of waits for Katie to respond if she's going to be okay with Charlie coming on. And then Katie's response to that question is, "I don't know you, but please don't be mean to me." That was what she said to Charlie Gold. I mean, I get that she's kind of sick of like people criticizing her and giving her a hard time. Then don't put yourself in those situations where people can criticize you and give you a hard time. If you are in a space where you are not able to deal with that side of YouTube, don't get on somebody's live stream. Don't open yourself up to that. Again, Katie just kind of ends up running Uni's stream, and I comment on that. When he opens up the floor for questions, immediately people started asking questions about the Sophie Long case, and he like tries to deflect any from that being addressed at all. Like he's like, he reads a comment, he's like, "Oh, well, we're not going to get into all of that mess right now." Like, so he wants to claim in one sense that he doesn't know the criticism that Katie's getting, and he doesn't know of her shitty antics that she's done. But then in the other sense, he's going to acknowledge the fact that saying that he knows people have harsh criticisms for how she's handled herself and her content in relation to some scenarios, but not others. I find it very coincidental on when he all of a sudden doesn't know of these behaviors from Katie and when he does. So when he's being questioned by other creators, he doesn't know about Katie's past. He doesn't know of all this, that, and the other. But when he is on his own channel, he knows all of these things in and out. And I personally think a lot of that is because on his own channel, he can cultivate things. Although he says he doesn't foster a certain type of culture or delete stuff or things like that on his own channel, he's definitely, him and his mods do block people. I mean, they were evidently blocking people, and he wanted to say that they don't do that, but they clearly do. So he is able to have conversations like, "Hey, let's not let this stuff be talked about," and things like that. So I think when he goes on another person's chat, he doesn't know how people are going to interact or what they're going to say, and he doesn't know how to handle himself. One of the last things that I caught, and again, I didn't watch all of this, so once Charlie got on, I didn't even catch her getting on. I caught her signing in. But one of the last things Unirock says before Charlie Gold gets on is something along the lines of, commentary channels are fine until you're crossing a line of the creator sending hate to others or sharing personal data. And the irony in that statement, good night, Kim. The irony in that statement runs so deep, because the whole issue, the whole reason that most people are seeing that it doesn't seem Katie or Unirock are able to understand, or are just choosing not to acknowledge publicly, is that Katie is the primary grounds people agree with this lawsuit from Tati to Katie is that she went after personal information that she really didn't have a reason to go after. She had no reason to go looking for James Westbrook's criminal history or his previous dealings with his family's houses and their relationships, as well as Tati's relationships with her family. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, she shared personal data on them. Did she dox them? No, but just because you don't dox somebody doesn't mean that you're not sharing personal data. So I found it kind of hypocritical of him to be able to acknowledge, well, this is bad behavior, but he's sitting on a 6-hour live stream or however long it was defending Katie and her behaviors. So that is all of my notes. Do you guys have any questions? I know I've ignored you the whole time I've been talking about all of this, and I apologize. You guys know I don't typically run my live streams like this, but in order to get through it all, I needed to be able to just focus on the documents. So does anybody have any questions or comments or mentioned anything earlier that you wanted me to read and I wasn't able to? Yes, Michelle, sorry, I did. I was in a good bit, I believe. I don't know when the stream started on Augie's channel, but I did catch a good bit of it, and I was very impressed with Shannon and how she conducted herself and how she asked questions and how she was willing to acknowledge how he was behaving and how he was trying to avoid things, as well as Augie and the other gentlemen who were on phone, I believe. They were all willing to give him like the platform to, hey, like provide why you agree with her, provide, they wanted him to come through. They wanted him to come through, but he was incapable of doing so. She did kill it tonight. Like, I know Shannon already had a pretty decent platform, but I hope she has gained more subscribers from what she did. She's a very strong woman. From the way she was able to hold her own in a group full of men and not back down is on point. I have so much respect for her. She should be applauded for how she handled herself. Shannon was on Augie AFC. Is that what his channel is? She was on Augie's channel talking with Unirock, and there were 2 other gentlemen there as well, Bobalax, and his name started with an M. I hadn't heard of him before, but he was also there. RFC. Okay, I was close. It's super late for me. I'm sorry, guys. It's 12:30. I'm giving just a little bit of time to like answer questions and talk about it, and then I'm gonna get off of here probably within like 10 to 20 minutes. Muda, that was it. Yeah, what is mute? Oh my gosh, it's getting late. What is Muda's channel about? I've never heard of him. I've heard of Augie. I've heard of Bobalax. I've never watched their content. I've seen, I think, one of Bobalax's videos, and I've seen Augie's issue with the Sanders Kennedy and Katie Joy and all of that stuff. But I've never heard of Muta, and I appreciated how he was willing to, him and Bobalax, how they were both willing to like kind of provide some humor, like some comedic relief, but also like calling Uni out on some of his shit. I know, Michelle, it's super late. Are they I know that they're gamers, but I don't know if they have YouTube platforms or if it's just Twitch platforms. I'm not on Twitch, and I mean, I have nothing against gaming. My husband's a huge gamer, so I'm not very good at it. Nicholas Diorio, he was also on there. I thought he was in the chat, but was he one of the ones who was also talking? Is his name Muta on YouTube? Because I want to go look at these creators, and if I have really, like, I have mad respect for how they handled everything tonight, and I want to support them. So I will subscribe to them, and if they have content that I'll enjoy, like, I will watch it. Ordinary gamers. Your husband games, as do you. Yeah, I don't really game. I get too frustrated. I'm super, super competitive when it comes to like board games and video games. So if it's a game I'm not good at or I don't know like the controls to, I get super, super frustrated. Nicholas Diorio on YouTube. I'll have to look at those people. Yeah, you film being a gamer. I couldn't do that. You guys would see a whole different side of me. One and only time you played, you broke stuff. Yeah, I've never actually broken stuff, but like I get super frustrated and like I'll try a few times, or if my husband goes to the bathroom or something and he doesn't want to be kicked from a party, I'll hunker down somewhere. But the times that I try to like actually, he plays shooter games like Call of Duty and Division and stuff like that. So when I try to like actually get into the gameplay, I end up dead. And then I get frustrated because then they know that I'm a noob and I don't know what I'm doing. So I just keep getting killed every time he respawns. So I don't typically play. Yeah, gaming granny, that you do commentary while you play. I mean, that's it. A lot of channels do really well doing that kind of content. Hey, Melly Lynn. You've heard a lot of YouTube gamers are into T-channel drama and trolling. Not sure if that's true. I don't know. I think there's drama in every community, and I think it bleeds across YouTube because everybody views this as a competition rather than wanting to support each other and lift each other up and just like let it be what it is. They take it as a competition and they get focused on the numbers, and they're like, I want to have more subs than you. I want to be making more money than you. I want to be, getting better sponsorships than you. And they take it all as like this huge competition, which just instills people to be willing to start issues with one another, and drama ensues from that. That's how drama is created. Hey, the beauty demon, how are you doing tonight? You wouldn't like the competition. It seems like a waste of energy. Yeah, to a degree, it definitely is. It really just depends on people's personalities. If you want to feed into that, then that's fine. Some people like drama. They like the excitement and the rush of like seeing how everything plays out. I mean, we all watch it because it's entertaining, right? All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody who's hung out this long. I'm sure it's late where you guys are as well. Since I've done this so late, I probably won't. I don't know if I'll end up having a video up during the day tomorrow. It'll probably be up in the evening. For anybody who is subscribed or following the second channel, the crafting channel, a video will be up on that tomorrow night. I have finished a video. I just need to put it all together and upload it. So that will be up for you guys as well. Otherwise, I appreciate you all. Thank you for hanging in and letting me kind of ignore you so I could get through my notes. I feel really weird that I didn't engage with you guys as much as normal, but you know, in order to get everything out, I had to, and I kind of talked to you guys about it being pre-recorded or doing a live stream. John, let me go get the link for you for that channel, because if you search it, there's so many channels with this name that if you search it, it might not come up. So that is the YouTube that I have with my sister-in-law about our crafting that we do on the side. Yes, I will be live on Wednesday. So if you're here and you haven't put your vote in for the Wednesday chat, please be sure to do so if you plan on being a part of that chat. Otherwise, I probably won't be live tomorrow unless something crazy happens. I wish all of this stuff had happened tomorrow because I'm off on Wednesday and I would probably be okay to hang out with you guys longer, but I do have to get up in like 5 hours. So I have to go, but keep an eye out on both channels for a video tomorrow after, like not afternoon, but evening/nighttime. I will have everything edited and uploaded by then. So with all of that being said, I hope you guys all have a good evening, day or night, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.